Hello, everyone. We're here today to end the chapter and recap everything we've experienced during the season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Revamped. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander.
And I'm your co-host, Courtney Autumn.
And welcome to
The
Buffy
Buffy
Season 3
3
wrap-up. This fucking moment, the look up to him that Sarah Michelle Gellar gives him is iconic. It's got tude, sass, but it's also filled with power. And this is the moment where she reclaims her name. She's not Anne anymore. She's Buffy.
Happening that you forget that that's even a concept anymore, and then all of a sudden, here comes the other Slayer.
But whenever he was like, hey, Giles, here's a nifty idea. Why don't I alleviate my guilt by going out and getting myself really, really killed?
She's like, why do they call you Ripper? Is it because you rip her panties off?
Okay, it's been 25 years, okay, Courtney? I'm sorry, girl. Like you.
Whenever she says, if I was at full Slayer power, I'd be punning right about now. Just because that's her, like, sticking her middle finger up to Kelly and being like, bye, bitch.
There was not one instance where we even were able to have a breath of relief from her shittiness.
Yeah.
It was just shitty.
I'd have to agree, and I love when we have something of this level put before us to deal with, because then it creates a real problem for the show.
When it starts getting juicy like this, when, like, roles are more cemented, and, like, everything's out in the open with Faith, it's just such a juicy episode.
Because from her end, it probably looks like Angel's a huge fuckboy who just saw her notebook and freaked out that she wrote Buffy and Angel forever, and he's like, oh, no, we don't. No, we're not. Like, I'm so evil and skanky, and I think I'm kind of gay.
And it has written here, Buffy Summers, class protector.
Season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is about choice, about what happens when there isn't a clean answer and when staying feels just as heavy as leaving. The season opens with Buffy on the run, not because she doesn't care, but because carrying everything finally became too much. When she comes back, nothing has reset, the past is still there waiting, and the year keeps pushing her forward whether she's ready or not. This is the season where Buffy is tested from every angle. She's pulled between duty and desire, control and instinct, isolation and leadership. She survives the zombie disasters, fights her way through homecoming, watches adults unravel, and is forced to imagine a world that never needed her at all. Even moments meant to be lighter carry weight, reminding her that healing isn't linear and growing up doesn't happen all at once. Faith's arrival sharpens all of that. She represents another way to carry the same power, shaped by different choices and different wounds. Where Buffy hesitates, Faith charges forward. Where Buffy feels the weight of responsibility, Faith treats it like freedom. Their parallel path forces Buffy to define not just what kind of Slayer she is, but what kind of person she wants to be. Mirrors start appearing everywhere. People face versions of themselves that they can't outrun. Lines blur, power looks different depending on who's holding it, and the show becomes less interested in monsters as obstacles and more interested in what those monsters reveal. High school begins to collapse under the pressure of it all, and looming over everything is a villain who doesn't rush and doesn't doubt the future that he's building. While everyone else is focused on graduating, he's planning far beyond it. At the heart of the season is a quiet truth Buffy has to learn. Love can still be real and not something you get to keep, and by the end of the year, that truth asks for its price as Angel makes the choice to walk away. Season 3 closes the door on high school and leaves Buffy standing at the edge of something new, shaped by every decision that brought her here. So before we step forward, before everything changes again, we're taking a moment to look back. So let's get into it. All right, great. Oh, and I forgot to tell you too, but there's Buffy trivia that I have for you as well to do later.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know I'm not good at this.
It's going to be fun. I got some fun. There's like 5 different categories.
I'm out.
I also have to scare you preemptively too and let you know that it's for seasons 1 through 3.
Oh my God. Why are you doing this to me? You know, I might have the worst
but you
memory
might
ever.
be surprised. So we're going to see if she gets them all wrong, you guys, and she gets them all wrong. It is what it is.
If I get them all wrong, you have to cut the whole trivia and this part out of the episode.
It's fair though. You're a first time watcher, so it would make sense. I can help you a little bit. You know, we're good for our breadcrumbs around here. They won't lead to scary gingerbread demon kids that want to kill us and all the things or move. So here we are. Maybe that's a little bit of a hint for later. No, it's really not. That episode is not featured in the trivia. Either way, here we are. Season 3 wrapped up. We're done. Season 3 just went right by our face. It's gone. It's out of here. It's got the fuck out of here. Remember my motto from this season? That really did go by fast, though, I will say. Like, I know it takes about 5 months to get through it, but now we're done with this whole arc. Like, we're leaving this behind. I know I've said it 100 times, maybe 99, and here's the 100. But seasons 1 through 3 are its own little portal. It's this one chapter, and now we're moving on to something different. We said it last episode too. We got the conclusion of the more adolescent years. Now we get to move on to adulthood in a different format, the precursor to adulthood, because, you know, Buffy ain't 21 yet, so she can't buy cigarettes or drinking alcohol and all that stuff. So back in the day, she could. How do you feel coming from season 2 into season 3 podcast journey alongside it?
I feel like it was a really good crossroads kind of energy for the show coming from season 2 into season 3, and it felt very coming of age in its own way, especially for Buffy. And I don't know, the emotional stakes finally catch up with the supernatural ones, and I think that's finally a balance that I was looking for, and I didn't realize that in the other 2 seasons before this one. So I was really glad to kind of see that come into fruition with this season, because as relatable as Buffy can be sometimes, I feel like obviously we're not dealing in real life with some of the issues and consequences and circumstances that she's dealing with being a vampire slayer and living where she's living. The show did a really, really good job paralleling a lot of stuff with either the like monster of the week or the villain at large, or whatever was going on in the supernatural sense was also kind of mirrored back at us in a more relatable sense with what the cast was going through as the core group, or what Buffy was going through herself. So I really appreciated the emotional undertone that this season provided overall. I think that we evolved probably more this season than the first 2 so far. Like, our greatest leap for growth has been this season. And that's just maybe from my own point of view, but I do feel because the storyline and the plot line gets thicker this season and things become a lot more intense, it did have us engaging in more intense conversations, and more meaningful topics came up that ended up also, again, paralleling to kind of stuff we're dealing with today. So I feel like it shaped us differently as individuals almost, and the way that we like deal with each other and the way that we communicate. And there was just as much fun, I think, maybe even more fun and laughter this season than the other 2, where the other 2 were like campy fun, but this one was more like meaningful fun.
I have to agree with that, honestly. I was just thinking about what we said the other day when we were talking about like our iconic thing. Like, me and Courtney had this thing, all of our friendship, where we had like the same 3 pictures on rotation that we had taken together, and we would be like, oh, we're gonna hang out, let's make sure we take a couple of pictures every time we'd get together, and then we would never do it. And we made that joke the other day while texting, and I was like, no, mate, I can't let you live in that narrative anymore, because we'd be on camera with each other every week, we see each other personally all the time, so it's like recorded that way. I said, but we also document every time we have a guest and take a picture together in that way. So I said, there's always a random person in there with us, but we do have pictures together that are updated. Plus, we went to New York. We did all this other stuff the last year. We have taken some photos together. We did our Bexing, so I've been in photos with you or together. The concept of a camera has been there. And there's proof now.
Yes, because we're doing more than just like hanging out. And
I guess between what you just said and then like what we talked about the other day, that's a fun like way to kind of, you know, once again, it's relevant to something we're doing right now and talking about. I did want to say I had so much fun with this season. It was a lot more thrilling, and we spoke on so much, like you were saying, dived into some real life stuff that I didn't really expect either, especially for me, noticing I was experiencing a lot of the same themes that were showing up in my own life, usually around the same time that we were covering specific episodes, which made it kind of weird. But also, as a person, and both like myself and you and other, you know, I say spiritual people all the time, so I hope spiritual people really understand when I say this, and I'm not singling anybody out to say that you don't think this way, but when stuff shows up in your life, you're just like, that's not coincidence. If you live the type of way that we do, these types of things are just symbolic to our journey, and we're like, oh, that's clear as day. Like there's no reason like why this is not ironic or unironic or whatever the case you want to call it, you know. But the whole season was a lot more fun. I thought season 2 recording it was going to be my like funnest so far, Like even after we were done with 3, I like preemptively thought in my mindset like season 2 was going to be like, oh, that was like the best season we'll have ever done because of the storyline. And the storyline was good, but we evolved so much more this one, just like in our discussion, our people that we had on and stuff. I don't know, something about like having faith on the show too just gave us more to explore. Last season, obviously, we had a lot to deal with Angel and stuff and higher stakes, and it did give great conversation. But this one, there was so much more occurring for our whole cast member group, you know? Yeah. For the podcast especially. We had a big following this season. That Bad Girls Buffy X-Men parallel mirror situation thing video that I made because of the dancing sequence that is like rotoscoped or whatever, that got us like 700 new followers on Instagram. It like has like over 3 million views, 106,000 likes, like over 700 comments, 29,000 shares. That was insane to me because that is not something that we had a little bit of a like 200 or so plus followers and a bunch of comments and interactions. Our following on that grew whenever we had the whole last season problem, I'm gonna put it there, like with the name and everything like that attracted a good bit of people. But like that engagement that we got from that just really blew my mind. I thought it was really cool, and it's still rolling. I get consistent notifications about that every single day to this day since that happened. It's waned back a little bit, but still every day at least like 10 or 15 people will follow us or comment on the post or like it or whatever, share it.
And it's better because it's something you did that you created. It wasn't backlash from drama with another creator or something, you know. So at least it was a project that was created with it.
All that to say, I really did enjoy this season. Like we're talking about so much now versus when we started, and like it's enhanced since last season. We were very green even still last season, but we had the hang of things. Me and you both have really good confidence, and we know we can just like roll and do something. And I feel like this season, like every episode just unfolded naturally. I know I used to mess up a lot in the beginning of the season. I still have my moments, but for the most part, this feels like such a fluid process now, and it's so much easier, and I have a lot more fun showing up and talking about what we're getting into every episode. And we had a lot more fun this season too because we were like watching episodes online together a good bit of time, so we can see each other and actually see your reactions versus everybody else, unless it counted like Lover's Walk or something where I recorded the camera or the screen on like my phone camera, or like Enemies or something like that. Those were still like great moments to have just that one little thing, and it didn't mean I had to drive all the way 2 hours to come see you to do it in person, you know. Like I don't know, it was fun. But
the beauty of technology.
That to say though, I really do feel like we've grown a lot as people and podcasters just in general this last 5 months, the year of 2025 too. It's so like symbolic even in that way that we're about to like we're taking a break obviously, but like we're going to be venturing into a new year with a new season, a new show. Like there's a lot of fun new stuff to get in there. So there's all that. We've really fell into a nice practical rhythm that if anything stays consistent, even if that's consistently recording at the 2-hour mark, consistent in what's hitting us on the show or sparking convo, or the consistency that one of us is always 4 to 9 minutes late to any given recording due to the hitting of the Jiffy Jolly or trying to prepare a fresh cup of coffee. Like that was us, you know what I mean? So I thought that was funny. I was like, I have to put that in there because it's literally like I noticed that pattern. I'm like, oh my god,
it's on that tracks.
But as far as the show, before we actually go into like the review, the season had a lot going on, and I was just excited for you to view it like season 2. I love how they happen to be back-to-back seasons as well because they neighbor each other really well. Season 3 was nice to come thereafter because obviously you had to meet Faith and all this whole journey. So I was really excited for you to see all these episodes and to relive them again. I did write my notes too. I was like, this season was rich in relationship drama, whether that was platonic or romantic. We got some deeper layers of characters and some dark turns, a lot of payoff with like Snyder's death, like because that makes you want to do backflips because he finally got his. Like the whole progression of Buffy's arc too, like from beating down Slayer at the beginning of the Slayer coming off of last season to like commanding an army by the season's end. That was huge. Yeah. And I guess since I'm kind of basically starting to review the season, we can like dive more into that. I did write down this question for us. Like if you had to describe this season in one sentence, what would it be?
I had such a hard time with that because that's so difficult. I put that it kind of summarized in a way as a reminder that a part of growing is breaking away from the things that control you. Also kind of doubles back to the themes that we had at large, which were choices and consequences. So that was my way of summing up the the entirety of the feeling that I got.
Season 3 feels like the year where everyone has to face who they really are and make choices that they can't take back. And those choices are what push them out of who they were and into whatever comes next. So that very much is on the same wavelength. You're like, Nate, I should have just let you go first. And I would have been like, yes, same. Because, exactly. I also then wrote after that, we didn't have to see Drusilla at all. So there's that.
Yes.
But then I also noted that, like, I really like the story told here, like the characters that are introduced, the pacing, and for all of it to culminate in the school being blown up like crazy. But I also, like, was thinking to myself, like, and I think I say this again later, so I will go ahead and burn it now in a way. This season did not have any episode except maybe one that didn't flow or seemed skippable. Like every single episode was good. Like there's like a handful of episodes of season 2 and definitely in season 1 that you could kind of do without it. If you didn't watch them, you're not going to miss much. This season, not so much.
Sure, yeah.
Like every episode was great storytelling in that way. So that made me more like excited to cover it.
I agree. Yeah, that's why, like, when we do our top countdowns and our least favorites and stuff, it's always it's generally hard for me to pick a least favorite episode out of any of the seasons that we've watched. But I will say that this season specifically was the hardest for me to even, like, try to
landed
pick
on one.
a couple. I landed on 2, and it was really not just, it wasn't even that they weren't great episodes, because they were. It was just like, if I'm gonna go back and rewatch season 3, I'm okay like going to do laundry and using those 2 episodes as background noise because I already know what happens, while I might be more invested in the others kind of thing. But that still isn't like I don't like them, because I love them.
No, that makes sense. I wanted to note Sunnydale High School is gone at the end of the season. Obviously they're not going to be there anymore anyway, so we don't have the story to tell, but now it's like physically gone. And I was like, going into the next season is going to be really interesting. The library specifically was our base of operations the last 3 seasons, and we're not going to see it anymore. And I feel like that's really bittersweet to acknowledge, because we had so many moments and memories at that table and in there researching inside the library. The Hellmouth is literally there. Like, we just saw the school in general, not even just us, it saw so much, and now it's in ruins. That was crazy to think, like, watching the first time through, that being what happens. And I know we talked about that last episode, but just that's what this culminated into, is that the school's not even there anymore as a physical landmark. Like, it's crazy.
That's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad.
That's kind of sad. Yeah. I mean, at least, I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but like after you graduated high school, did you ever go back and just like drive past your high school?
Well, I have to pass all the time, mostly like getting to my parents' house. But now there's like a bunch more trees in the front of it, so you can't see the school as well.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine going into Sumter.
Yeah, it would be like if it was blown up. Yeah, like literally. Or let
especially
me not
under
say
those
that. Detective Vaughn will come
circumstances.
for me if we talk about blowing up Sumter High. Like, goddamn, like fuck. PTSD.
Would you like
It's
to play
so
a
sad
game?
that motherfucker comes up so often in life in whatever shape or form. Yeah. No, I do that. I ride by my old houses and do things like that as well too. It's just I'm all about that kind of sentiment sometimes.
So yeah, that would be crazy to not be able to do that, but especially like under those circumstances, not just because it's like they're gonna rebuild it somewhere else or it's redevelopment or something. It literally got fucking like blown up.
I don't know. Season 3 was really cool. I feel like I have the most generic like stuff to say as far as a review of season 3 goes, but I mean, my biggest thing is just to say that it was fucking good. Like I said, every episode slaps. Like, it's hard to pick ones, like you were saying, like out of the whole mess that's not good. Like, we had some random callbacks, some new introduction of characters. We had like the one episode where Spike randomly returned and he didn't thankfully have Drusilla with him. All the things, like, this season really rocks. And I think what made the season really fun, being analytical about it, was the themes being choices and consequences more than kind of anything. This season started off with choices, and technically last season, like Becoming Part 2, when Xander starts, and everything's always about choices in life, but Xander kind of starts the chain of it going into this season with his choice to tell Buffy, kick his ass, because then that spiraled into Buffy's choice to leave, which probably was not the best decision on her part. And then that breadcrumb led us into season 3 and its overall theme, which was kind of funny that they close off on that. Like, Buffy made a big decision at the end of last season, and we start off on the journey of this. Like, it's so hard to forget by the time we're at the end of the season that just at the beginning of the season, Buffy had just killed Angel. She's lost in LA, like living for the whole summer on her own, eating SpaghettiOs and hanging out with this bitch that can't figure out what her name is going to be.
I almost forgot about all of that until I had a review for this sheet. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because, like you said, it went by so fast that it almost feels like episode one of this season was a totally different lifetime ago for the series. It doesn't feel like it was part of this season, and almost feels like it was part of last season somehow. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. And it's probably because of that ripple effect, like you're saying. It was Xander's choice to, I mean, dare we say lie, you know, but he lied. And that choice then affected a choice that Buffy made, like you're saying, to leave. And then thus brings us to the beginning of season 3, which is all about making all kinds of damn choices, usually based on choices that other people fucking
yeah. Yeah, it's not something you directly chose. Like it's affecting you because of decisions that other people
Well,
make.
yeah, and that goes back to consequence, you know. It's kind of like the choices that other people make end up being consequences for other people to deal with that lead them to make choices for themselves that become consequences for the first person in the chain reaction to deal with. So
and all of our characters like all had to face different choices and decisions. You know, obviously Buffy herself, Faith, and basically Angel, I would say, would be the 3, like the holy pinnacle of fucking choice making, decision making, the consequences of their actions really coming back to bite them. All of that, like heavy matter. We started that season that way, and then like I really, for this time too, like I know I saw it a little bit into last season, but like the episode 7 mark in this season, like you really saw it, like progression from there to like season 7, and then after episode 7, then after that the whole story kicked off into something different but still connected in a way. It was really weird. Like I was going back assessing this and I'm like, that's where we start this like big furthering into the realm of everything that's going on between like Willow and Xander's like stuff that's going on, like Cordy and Xander breaking up, and then it rolls out into like, you know, what would happen if Buffy wasn't there, and then we kind of roll into like what happens when Faith goes crazy, and just it, I don't know, I can't say enough that the storytelling this season is just so freaking great. Like every episode is very layered, even if it's just like moments that happen within the episode, just a couple of iconic scenes that help build the story along the way. This season did that so well. Like you don't, when you watch it the first time through, you really don't assume that stuff's going to happen with Faith, that she's just going to be the Slayer that's kind of edgy and butts heads, they can't get along the same way and all of that. But I don't know, like the whole it's just one thing, like every turn you like don't expect what's going to happen next, and then you get these funny episodes in between with our random side characters, especially. Like I love that Xander and Willow, even though we always kind of get a centric episode each season, this season held like a special portal for Xander and Willow specifically, you know, across as like beeline people from like the trio that we just talked about. Like Giles had major stuff going on this season, like he's not part of the council anymore, he's like a free agent, and it's kind of interesting too, all these people along this season, they kind of had the choice to leave and to not do this anymore, and they all kind of still decided to stay close knit. Like Willow didn't decide to go to a college elsewhere, you know, Xander's decided, mostly through choice not of his own, as we were saying, to stick around. You know, like everybody, like choices, consequences, even on the side of like something as minute as Cordelia's parents having a consequence action, like her dad, and like it affecting her in a weird way to where like, you know what I mean? It's just this whole thing. Like this season is so beautifully done, and I feel like that's really truly all I want to say about it, like going on, because that's my review of this season. We'll unfold and talk about it as we get into our next little bits and stuff like that, and we can elaborate especially on our characters as we go on. But next, let's go ahead and roll out our rankings for this season, because that's where we have the most fun. Honestly, that's the most engaging part of this, because I'm very excited to see, you know, just like every season, and there's a couple of new questions, how we line up and like what you like to, especially this is my way to pick your brain, because I'm always like, does she actually really like Buffy? Is she gonna be obsessed with this show afterwards? Will she watch it 700 times before she dies like I have? Like, who knows? Usually if you're a Buffy fan, you're really a Buffy fan, like you're part of the fandom. You're not just somebody that's like, oh yeah, I've seen Buffy, I really liked it. Like you end up finding yourself like, I know you like it. I've told Sarah, I've told Leia recently, like about how you'll be messaging me and you're like, you're dropping Buffy quotes, or like you're randomly texting me talking about, why don't you steal those clothes since the cash register is not working at the store that you're at, and want, take, have, isn't that the motto? Shit like that. It just really makes me laugh. So I know that you're like calling it back, and plus me and you run shit out.
I bring that up later.
Really, thank God.
Yes.
So it's really fun like to gauge off and see where you're at with the season, what you enjoyed, and like this is one of my favorite parts. So let's do rankings. Let's. All right, so top 10 episodes of season 3. What landed in the 10th spot for you?
Anne.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. But it's literally just because it was a great opener for season 3.
Mine is Gingerbread. I've always really liked that episode. It's so funny. Like, I started at the beginning of this season and did a top 10 because I was like curious ahead of time, and I found myself changing it twice by the time we were done recording. And I was watching these shit, like not a lot of it, but like a few, like in a random episode made it in and one got kicked out, and then like the shift of them, like the way they come in order shifted around, like the placement wise for them. But Gingerbread is like one of those ones that most people tend to like not like, and I've always really liked it.
Yeah.
What'd you have at number 9 spot next?
Prom.
Oh, the prom. You're like, I want that umbrella.
But I will say that I did put in my notes that it probably deserves a higher spot on the list. But I do love the prom, and I acknowledge that it probably should be higher on my top 10. But it was really hard.
It's okay if you had to pick episodes from the series, which we will do at the very end of this journey. I'm sure it can like land somewhere in your top 20 or something. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
when we do a top 50.
We'll see.
No, I'm just kidding. My number 9 spot was Anne. It wasn't in my top 10 initially. It is one of my favorite season openers for the series. I liked a lot of other episodes for certain reasons, but I found myself being like, no, I really liked everything that I like found myself thinking about afterwards. And after processing the episode and getting analytical, I was like, I really love this episode so much. It's going to always hold a special place in my heart. Plus, it's the start of this awesome season. Mm-hmm. It's so close to becoming part 2 as well, like for the energetic quality of Buffy and everything she's going through. So I like this energy, and I love her claiming her power at the beginning. So I was like, I have to put Anne in my top 10 because my Slayer is my favorite Slayer, and this is why, because she's Anne, but she's not. She's Buffy. Coming in number 8, what'd you pick?
Band Candy.
That's the one I kicked out for Anne.
No. And Gingerbread was the one I kicked out.
That's funny. My number 8 spot was Doppelgangland.
What? It's all the way up here.
So far back. Yes, for me though, I got all the good ones, like all the ones that I know for sure I'm psycho about at the more the forefront.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so interesting.
But yeah, Doppelgangland's there. 7.
Faith, Hope, and Trick.
Nice. Mine was Bad Girls.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that one used to be lower down on the list, or like more towards the number 3 spot, I would say, back in the day. But you know, watching it's still really good, but I have a different viewpoint on it now, and other episodes totally come first now in my mindset. And this could change again. I'm not gonna have the same top 10 next year. I'll have a few of the same.
I was gonna say this will change for me by the time I rewatch the season again.
Yep. Number 6 spot,
Lover's Walk.
What? I love that that's in your top 10. It's not mine at all.
What? Well, Bad Girls isn't in mine.
What did you like about Lover's Walk to put it in your 6th spot? Like so close to top 5.
I think the thing that really kicked it in for me was just the whole reveal of Xander and Willow, because it was long overdone. Like we were just waiting for that pin to drop kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But also the chaos of it, you know.
I was about to say, Courtney likes drama, y'all.
I do. Not that this show isn't filled with drama in every episode, but I think I maybe mentally noted or was hopeful that the reveal of Xander and Willow's bullshit would be the beginning of the end of Xander and Willow in that way. So, yeah. That was that for me.
She's like, I love that episode so much. It's in my top 10 at my number 6 spot because fuck them.
Exactly.
No, I get that though, because like those first 2 seasons we're like, oh my god, Willow, get over him, and now like we know that that's done. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And every time you feel like she's making progress to get over him, then here we go all the way back. Yeah.
That episode sealed the deal on that, and Courtney's like, that is something I needed.
The end.
My number 6 is Faith, Hope, and Trick.
Oh, okay.
Again, that used to be lower on my list in my top 5. Had to bump some stuff up, so that's where I land on that. Such a good episode. Obviously introduces Faith. Most of my like favorite episodes involve Faith in a way in my top 10, so this is where this one lands for me.
That's good.
All right, final 5. What's your 5th position?
Revelations.
Juicy as fuck. Mine is Helpless.
Ooh, really?
As I said, that was like a favorite episode like for the season. Just going through, it's like very horror themed, scary and stuff like that too.
Very on brand for you.
What'd you like about Revelations to put that there? These are blindsiding me. I figured you were going to pick like the cliche ones.
I think the shift of Faith's character and that being just like too much to handle at some point, where we're like, I think we get a good glimpse of the fact that something is wrong with Faith, or she has the tendency to be toxic, and she's definitely a darker side of what Buffy displays as being the Slayer. But I think the huge pivot in her character started here, and that was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I think the mind-blowing effect of it for me is why.
You can see really quickly in that episode how irrational Faith kind of thinks and how she just jumps to like impulse and does things to do them.
Yes, and we see a sense of entitlement with her in Bad Girls too, but it's just this overall sense of callousness in a way, you know.
Sure.
And I'm just like, this is not a good look for anyone, especially our future on the show.
The future on the show. All right, spot number 4.
Number 4 for me was The Wish.
Mine was The Prom. Lower down the list for me, obviously, because I told you that was going to be that way. That used to be lower down. And once again, I really had to shift things up because something else ended up taking one of my spots that I didn't have on my list at all ever. And I realized, I was like, wait, hold up. I fucking love this episode. We'll get to it. We said The Wish. So obviously you probably like the alternate reality episode, the introduction of characters that we got to see later on and things like that. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right. Spot number 3.
I gave this one to Graduation Day 1 and 2.
Okay.
For the sake of not, breaking it up, because it's one storyline. So that was my number 3. And that's just really for the intensity and the perfectly wrapped up ending of the season. And yeah, it was great and it was entertaining. And I think, like you said, there was little tidbits like Snyder getting eaten that were also pros. So yeah, I just loved it and it was a lot of fun.
My number 3 spot is Graduation Day Part 1.
Ooh.
I'm going to copy you and say Part 2 is right in there with it because they do go hand in hand. There's so many great elements from both. Like Graduation Day is this one whole complete story. So if you say one, you really mean the other as well. But Graduation Day Part 1 specifically, just because Buffy and Faith fight, like the stakes are raised in a different way. Y'all know now listening to it why I like it. But that fucking fight is the best. So it had to be in my top 3.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, spot number 2.
Doppelgangland.
I had a feeling that was going to be your first or second. That makes complete sense for that to be in your list. That was the funniest episode to fucking watch.
And that's what I said. I said by far the funniest episode to watch. So it was great.
All right. Mine is Enemies. That was where that one landed for me. That was the one I had to insert into my top 10 because I was like, holy shit, I really like this episode. I feel like it might have been in my top 10 originally when I first wrote the list. I can't remember because I wrote like 3 different versions of it, like I said. But regardless, like it's in my number 2 for this time around because I really enjoyed that episode and watching you watch it and like the foolery that happens in there between all the characters and secrets being revealed. I love, like, just like yours was Lover's Walk. This is my secret to be revealed. We've been waiting for something to like Faith to get caught and now she got caught type thing. So yeah, that's why I had to put it in here because that was just, as Tabby said, very juicy.
Yes, exactly.
All right, number 1 spot. Drum roll. What's yours?
Enemies.
Shut the fuck up.
Dead ass. Yeah.
Oh my god, why?
I wrote that the fake angel betrayal was the best kind of savagery and instant karma. So yeah, I think that it's an episode that just is right up my alley as far as its narrative is concerned. It was fun in the way that it was both intense and in the way that there was a plot twist that you didn't really see come in. And yeah, it was well done. And that was my favorite episode this season, at least if you ask me today.
All right, I'm gonna have to come back one day and ask you, and then I'm just gonna post it on the Revamped story and be like, she changed her mind, bitches.
What's your number 1?
My number 1 spot, I already told you guys when we recorded it, is The Wish. It did not change. That's always been my number 1 spot for Buffy season 3. I love The Wish. Everything that we get from it. That whole episode's so fucking cool in every single way that it could be.
Yeah.
All right, well, we made it through top 10 a lot quicker than we did last time, so congrats on that, mate.
And we didn't lose track.
We didn't. Least favorite episodes. I love how, like, in the past seasons I've had episodes, and like I said, I could only hone in on one. And it does not mean we hated it, like, on my side of things anyways. It just is lower on the rewatch list.
Mhm.
And that one for me landed at Beauty and the Beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Was that yours too?
Yes.
Duh. I feel like that would be almost anybody's. But, like, every other episode, like I said, this season is really great. Everyone's worth watching. This one, kind of placement wise, I'd put it dead last because of the fact that it's just, like, kind of, I wouldn't say random. It tells a great story, and it handles Angel coming back and, like, him being feral and the introduction, because obviously we leave on the cliffhanger for Faith, Hope, and Trick, where Angel gets brought back. So we want to see that story, but all the rest of that Pete and Debbie stuff and all the other stuff going on, like, it's just me. Like, I'm like, whatever. I don't care about any of that. I don't want to see abuse and some woman getting beat on my TV screen and shit like that. Like, I was just not here for all that. Mm-hmm. So assessing it, I'm like, that because of those themes that we explored, they're great to touch base on, but like the one time. Yeah. Otherwise, just let me start the episode, see Pete be mean once, and then watch the ending scene where Angel gets his mindset back and then kills him. And
just skip straight to the last 5 minutes and you're good.
Did you have anything to add as far as, like, why we put it in Beauty and the Beast there?
No, I mean, you touch base on everything that I kind of thought about it, and I just put that there wasn't anything wrong with this episode. It's just, like I said earlier before we started discussing this, that it just isn't one I would rewatch intentionally. Just knowing what unfolds already, it would be easier for me to skip, but it's not a bad episode, obviously. So
yeah. Did you have a second one at all?
Yes, my other one was Helpless.
What? Why?
And here's why.
Hell no. No, podcast is canceled. I'm just going to click on stop.
No, here's why. Here. I am realizing that I don't favor, and it's a great episode, so don't get me wrong. It is a great episode, and it's, like, great for the storyline, and obviously we get, like, lots of details on some really important stuff, and it changes a lot of things between, like, Giles and Buffy, for a second anyway, but I feel like I almost don't like that element of it because I love them so much, but I also don't like two things. I don't like the idea of Giles doing anything wrong, but especially to Buffy in a way that's harmful, especially physically. So there's that, but I'm also realizing, like, which one was it last season where Buffy was, like, laid up in the hospital the whole time?
I don't know. What's the name of the title of the episode?
I don't know, Brandon. I don't have a great memory. Anyway, whatever one that is.
Killed by Death.
Yes, thank you. Those episodes where she's helpless and she literally can't do anything, I just can't. I feel like it's an unfair approach for an episode because we need Buffy to be able to slay. And not that she didn't, and not that she doesn't always, but I feel like I have more fun watching the episodes where she's at her best. So that's why.
Courtney said, I need Buffy to stay around for the 2K per stay, not the slay.
Yeah, exactly.
The 2K to slay per stay. All the things. All right, whatever. We're gonna breeze on past that. No, I'm just kidding. I respect that. I get it. I don't like seeing Buffy get hurt either. I just like all those themes and elements. I feel like now I have to go back and explain myself as to why that episode fucking rocks.
No, it does.
For the reasons why.
Episode. I just feel like now that I know it and I've seen it, I don't need to rewatch it, but it's very important, obviously, to the show, and it has a lot of value to the storyline. But yeah, I just don't like seeing the circumstantial elements of it all.
All right, great. Top episodes to record. These are episodes that we enjoyed covering, recordings that were funnier, held more memories, etc. Where did you land? I chose 3.
I think I chose 3 also.
All right, what are they?
Doppelgangland, The Wish, and Band Candy.
Doppelgangland, The Wish, and Band Candy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to re-say them because I was looking at my vape pen trying to get it to work so I could hit it.
Is it working?
Mm-hmm. No. Oh, it's not done counting down yet. Hold on. Mine were The Prom, Enemies, and Band Candy.
Oh, we have only one the same.
I did write some, like, episodes that we live watched together.
Mm-hmm.
But before I say those ones, like, The Prom, I really liked because of the return, like, and love we share, like, being so pure and one of our fondest memories. I wrote my notes. But it was, like, mostly because me and you, that episode doing, like, the dialogue read through of Angel and Buffy's breakup scene was just so fucking funny. Like, I lived for that. I was waiting for that episode too ever since we covered, like, the whole callback that I did to Out of Mind, Out of Sight, waiting for that art to like say all the stuff about like Jonathan and what he said, and like having the connection with Earshot in there and all this other stuff. I was just really excited to get to that again. And have you seen everything in between? So I was like, that was a really fun episode that I was waiting to get to record anyways. But then that just made it better. Enemies, obviously, between the Faith discussion, like Faith's bullshit coming to light and talking to Tabby about it, that really was one of the juiciest episodes out of the whole season. There was a reason she said it was juicy, and I lived for that. It was. And then Band Candy, unironically enough, was the second most juicy episode that we get this season. I die thinking about how I said rip her panties off. Like, and I remember laughing so much, and then listening back to it, laughing a lot and being glad, because in the recording, I was like, should I leave that in? And you were like, yes. And I was like, okay, we might get canceled because I'm talking about taking some bitch's panties off. But also, we're kind of raunchy people. So if you're still here listening, you probably like a little bit of raunch and a little bit of like creepy uncle vibes too. So here we are. I'm like the first thing to be like, yes, my dick is hard, or yes, I'm hard for Angel, or yes, I want to like, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna go there.
Shit, I was just getting raunchy before we started this recording.
Oh shit, with Meredith?
No, with you.
We were?
When you were right before you took your glasses off, remember?
Oh yeah, my Giles glasses that you love so much. But I wrote favorite episodes. Obviously, we live watch. Like, to note, because I wrote here, I was like, dude, by the way, we watched 15 episodes together this season. All started the season, like, we don't have that many reacts to do. We won't have to watch that many. And here we are watching 15 out of 22 episodes together. Just saying.
They weren't all for reacts, though, so at least that was that.
It was convenient to do it online, though, but it was interesting. I was like, oh, shit, oopsie. But Doppelgangland and Lover's Walk were my favorite to have live watched. Obviously recording them were fun too, but live watching them for this season, those were the best, because like what you were saying, kind of the reason for your Lover's Walk position, and then watching you witness that, we've been waiting for forever. As soon as you knew that Willow liked Xander, and I say we as in us, the collective Buffyverse, watching you as our followers and stuff, waiting for you to get the reveal and stuff, we were waiting for that payoff of you being like, oh my god, it's like season 3 ever since they start breadcrumbing us at being like, oh, they're sneaking around behind everybody's backs, they definitely got to get caught at some point, just when is it gonna happen? We were all waiting for that, so I had to make sure I watched it with you so I could see your reaction. And then I was like, oh, I should film the screen, and that was where that kind of kicked off. And then obviously Doppelgangland, because I have not laughed so hard the whole season as much as I did when that bitch got her hand stuck in that bitch's head, and Willow's like trying to pull her hand out of it.
Moment.
It was just so great, and you laughed so much. It was so great watching you laugh. So that's where I landed.
My favorite episodes for what we live watch were literally exactly the same, and I put in parentheses also Enemies was an additional one, but naturally, because it's also my favorite episode of the season. So of course I had fun watching that with you. But yeah, the most memorable one for me as far as our live watches, and I think most memorable episode of the season maybe in general, as far as like a more fun time and a lot of laughter, was definitely Doppelgangland.
100%.
Thanks to Willow.
What were your favorite inside jokes or quotes that we kind of came up with this season, or even some that regurgitated that kind of still stuck around?
I did start with our timeless classics, which is the positive vibes flowing, and anytime we had our infamous mention of Hereditary. And for this season specifically, I think what comes to mind the most is our inside joke from The Wish, and just being like, done. And then me saying bye to Angel a million times, which just so happens to be like my favorite word in the English language. So yeah.
Right up there with scissors.
Yeah.
And the action of scissoring. Here we go with the cranky ankle stuff. I had to double down on the Band Candy foolery, because what I just said, like rip her panties off, that was so fun to have come up with. Now, like when I hear Ripper, I'm always going to hear or see in my head like poor Buffy that had to hear her mom's thoughts, like that those two fucked, and that he really did rip her panties off.
So
like
much.
that makes that whole, and I should have brought that up in Earshot, but like that makes that comment I made so much more literal, because he pulled them off on top of the police car. So there's that.
Yeah, true that.
After he, beat the cop up and laid him out, and they're fucking on Main Street in front of the coffee shop. Like, That shows you
Right.
how chaotic that episode was.
Yeah.
There's people running around and ain't paying these two attention. Like if this was this day and time, all over TikTok and every Instagram video would have been Joyce getting piped down by Giles. So.
Yeah.
I like when Buffy staked the two vampires back to back in Lover's Walk and you called them a damn vampire shish kebab. That was something that I thought was so funny. Like you said as a quote, it made it into the Instagram post video. I'll never forget that because I didn't even have to go back. And last season, in season 1, I had to kind of go back and listen or watch, or even if it was our Instagram videos, rewatch those to get some like regurgitation of being like, oh yeah, that I remember this now because I'm sourcing that out. But I was like, oh shit. And then obviously, like as you said, like the positive vibes as a continued reinforcement of that, and like 2Ks for slays, all that stuff. Just like your first one, done. Like we done ran that out at this point, but I feel like that will forever be a good Anya referencing point, and we could totally apply that in real life. AKA that's probably what we should do, and we'll add it to like our list of like let's and all right, great, like how we always say that.
Literally.
We'll put done in there. So if I ever ask you if you've rolled us a Jiffy Jolly or like did you make us some dinner, I fully expect you from now on to go done. And I'll reply ravishing. And then my last one, I love any episode where we or like I mimic or impersonate somebody. It's just really fun for me, and I know a handful of people really like it too and comment on it. We just be out here acting crazy and shit, and it fulfills me in like an interesting way to do that. Like obviously just shout out my favorite one. Like I loved when me and Tyler both was on fire. He came in ready to like basically imitate Balthazar, and he was doing all the things. I'm like, okay Tyler, I love you so much for this.
Yeah, no, that was so good. Yeah, and I think this is actually where I meant to mention the thing that you had brought up earlier, where I think it was the first time, probably of many to come, where I quoted Buffy when you were like, oh mate, I couldn't get you those pants at the thrift store, the power went out. And I was like, well, how about you just look at the lady on your way out with your products in hand and say, want, take, have. Isn't that how it works?
Quite literally there.
So I love when stuff can just be directly applied to real life situations, and it can just be doubled back as a Buffy quote. And like you're saying, the monologue thing that we did together and anything fun like that happened was really great. So
I agree. And I probably have so many more, but like it gets lost. This is the hardest about doing a wrap up, is trying to remember like so much to really talk about, how much like there's something's going to get left out, whether that be in character development or right here moments, like, but it's going to be fun because there's going to be a point in life one day. Like I do it now. Like today I had forgotten all about the Subway drink fresh comment that we made in the recording, and then it came up today and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I made that picture. I need to send it to Courtney. I also need to remember to create a caption to post it later. I'd forgotten all about it, so I wasn't even going to add it today to the list of things to be aware of. So there's so much other stuff, but those are the ones I honed in on. Highlights of this season. What was your saddest moment and best overall moment?
My saddest moment was, even though it's happened 1,000 times, Buffy and Angel breaking up the last time, because Buffy was more pitiful, I think, than usual to watch in this case scenario, which made it feel altogether more concrete that this might be their actual ending. So that was the saddest moment for me. And the best overall moment was Buffy quitting the council, because that is just like the biggest fuck you that she could do. And I'm here for that.
Yes, I love that. My saddest moment was Alan Finch coming in at number 1 for me, just because that was like, it was a human death. It was very like unfortunate because it like led Faith to spiral even darker than she normally could have. So it branched out a whole lot. It made the whole season change in the series, which brought a lot of sadness on all our parts for everybody. They had to face the repercussions of basically Faith making all these like horrible ass choices. So here we are. But then I found myself writing down Buffy dying the second time to the Master was something that bothered me, because like that always hits me in a weird way. I talked about it that episode. Like I'm so sad that she still died to the hands of him, the way the prophecy said, like it still was foretold and it still occurred. No matter what universe it happened in, like he was always supposed to be the one that killed Buffy. Like this time she didn't come back. So that was really sad to me and always hit me as a kid. That made me really upset. I remember bawling my eyes out crying the first time. So I was like, no, even though it was 2 seconds later, it flashes back and,
and things are all normal.
And, Anya's not done. She's done. I'm done. And then I did have a third one for my saddest moments. I really didn't like Buffy crying and helpless to Giles over what happened to her throughout the whole episode. So that kind of parallels like a little bit, mixes in as a mirror to your commentary. But that was a sad moment to me, just seeing her cry and feel so helpless and like weak and all this other stuff, because it was also sad to see her like want her Slayer abilities back and want to still be the Slayer. Whenever I made the comment when we recorded it that she wanted so much back in the day to not be the Slayer anymore, and now we see that she's choosing through choice to be the Slayer. So that was awesome for me, like, which kind of leads me a little bit into like that being a impromptu add-in for my overall best moment for Buffy is that a little bit. My main one though is I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you are, from Anne. Whenever she stands up to that guy, she's lost and she like looks at him and she's like, fuck you, I'm Buffy, I'm about to kill all of y'all. It's very empowering. And then my second up to that is the Class Protector Award as the best overall moment, because in the start, obviously, Buffy reclaimed her power back, as I was saying, and it kicked off the show again, her story. And by the time we arrive at the end, if Buffy hadn't returned to... There goes the cat feeder for season 3 wrap up. It's the cat feeder wrap up.
It's got to be there.
If Buffy hadn't have done that, like all these things, and returned, she wouldn't have got the recognition in that moment if she had to continue to stay ran away and lost and all this other stuff. So I love those. And I feel like those two effectively mirror one another. To me, was like the symbolic energy of like the Fool, the start of a journey and being lost, like leap of faith type stuff, coming back. And then also like even with the irony of the tarot card being the World, like it was a completion journey from 1 to 22 or whatever, the major arcana has in tarot. So it's a season 3 tarot drop. But yeah. Funniest moment of the season. Oh shit.
I just very simply put Willow getting her fingers tangled in the girl's hair.
I love that. I wrote the entirety of the episode the Zeppo. Because that whole episode had me laughing. It always has me laughing the whole time, and it's Xander centric, and that's great. He's just like, it's so funny. Also wanted to add to, I forgot I wrote a note in here that like to put Homecoming in here between like Buffy and Cordelia. They both had great moments. That episode also, and Cordelia's speech is still a popular moment from the season for me, just before I forget to do that. All right. Worst or most frustrating moment this season?
I put probably anything to do with Xander and Willow, but especially Willow crying over Xander's dumbass.
There we go. My first thing says, do you remember how annoyed we were with Willow when Buffy returned and the way that she was acting in Dead Man's Party? That first popped into my head.
Yes.
Like, that was frustrating to me. I also have to say the whole Xander and Willow love affair, that calls out to me just like you. And then, of course, Xander and Revelations. Like, I think it's safe to say that neither of them will be awarded Shining Slayer for this season, by the way, like between Xander and Willow. Just all of those two things alone. Xander was just a dick in Revelations. He was doing all that shit and putting Faith up to kill Angel. And I was just like, okay, we're still at like season 2 Xander. Thankfully, after that, he changed, and we'll talk about that in his character development arc, but whatever. This one was kind of funny. I was like, Lily and Anne was annoying me because she was not following orders well. She did come out on top by the end, but like the whole episode, she's like lost and scared and all this other stuff, looking up to Buffy. But then Buffy's like, hey, we need to split up. And she's like, can I come with you? And I'm like, bitch, like, what the fuck did she just say? Like, what? I just found myself getting like frustrated with Lily. I feel like most of these aren't like really worst moments for me. It's more frustration that I had for the season. And then I wrote, don't let me forget about boring ass, gay ass Scott Hope. Obviously there was probably more frustrating moments, but the beginning of the season I feel like had a container of all the annoying fucking things, because everyone was trying to re-navigate their dynamics with one another, especially Buffy and her close friends, and like what was happening with everyone and primarily over Buffy. Like the whole consequences of last season with Angelus and killing him on her behalf, and then how that bled into the whole cast because of what started with Buffy and Angel really closed off that chapter, but it like kept a portal of frustration fuming the first part of the season opening up. So like I said, there's more frustrating stuff across the season, but thankfully they kind of like put it in a little container at the beginning, and then you don't get quite as frustrated. You get more fearful and upset and like wondering what's going to happen as the season progresses. All right, favorite villain or monster from the season, or monsters?
My favorites were Mr. Trick. And that's just because I loved the sense of humor that he had and brought to the show, because he was like one of the funnier villains that we got to see. Yep, and oddly enough, I ended up going with the mayor because he was just a complex kind of villain. Yeah. And of course, we spent like a long time with him. So it wasn't like just this pop up, like one-time deal thing, but we slowly get to know him, and the way that his character doesn't make any sense, you know, like he's this germaphobe, but he is like out here eating spiders so he can have an ascension, and he wants to like eat everyone in the high school, but he is so overprotective of Faith and worried about her well-being. You know, like he's just such a weird, complex character that almost doesn't make any sense, which almost tracks in a way, because why the fuck would he?
Yeah.
And then you find out like all this weird stuff about, like, I don't know, his story just also went like deeper and further than I ever expected, as far as like his roots and his origin in the town.
Giving the lore, at least. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
You didn't
So
realize
it was,
kind of all started with him.
I guess because of his buildup and because we got to know him more, that's probably why we got more insight on him. But like I said, it was also the kind of the weird oxymoron character that he had, where it's just like, how are you one way and such an extreme, but then like it doesn't matter circumstantially in other ways. I don't know, it was just really funny, and they made a really funny character out of him. So he's overall probably my favorite of the season, but I really like Mr. Trick too.
I agree. I really like him whenever we're talking like villains from the entire series, but I didn't choose him for my favorite villain or monster from this season. I put 𝐒𝐏 and Gwendolyn Post as my favorite villains or monsters.
Gwendolyn Post was going to be on mine too, yes.
Gwendolyn just like... that bitch just came in with some crazy bullshit, and I was just like, I like the drama she stirred up between everybody. She came there to fuck shit up, so I was like,
he really manipulated her
it.
way
like
through the episode.
And then Zachary 𝐒𝐏, like, just because he's so scary and helpless, he's unhinged to another level as far as vampires go. Like, not quite Angela's level unhinged. Like, he doesn't seek an art form out of it. He just wants to create problems everywhere he goes, in a way, and he's just like kills with a different type of degree when it comes to that type of stuff. But
yeah,
I liked how he died and stuff like that too, which is really separate from my like 2K per slay type action. But just like everything that led him to getting killed, how he got killed, things like that, it was just like, it made it a good story to tell for a one monster of the week kind of vibe.
Very true. Yeah.
Best costume, makeup, or special effects for this season.
I put that Faith's makeup was always on point.
There you go.
It really was. The mayor's effects, as far as like during the ascension and the explosion at the end, were pretty cool. I think I'll just go with the fact that I did appreciate the fact that Faith's makeup was very much always on point. No matter how much we love to hate Faith, that rings true.
Hate Faith. I like the gingerbread demon, like his costuming, his makeup that they did on him, because that's all practical effects.
Yeah,
that all looked really cool as a monster. And then Buffy's special effects makeup and Helpless, like when her head's all busted open, she's got bruises all over her and stuff like that. They do really, that's subtle special effects makeup, like just to create bruising and blood and stuff like that. Like, I really like the use of that, and just seeing her with her head busted open and Giles like putting the cloth on it to help like soak up and like wash her away her problems and stuff like that. Like, it was just cool how they did that. Did you have a Buffy outfit that stood out for you this season, or upon like looking back on it, like that you remembered or that you chose for? Because we have to choose her. We could talk about everybody else, but we're only going to talk about Buffy because the show is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well, and I think with that said, I am probably going to list the most iconic looks in general, I assume, for the season for her, which is the red leather pants outfit, and obviously her prom dress, because she just looks so stunning. But yeah, the fit she was wearing when she had the red leather pants on, I'm like, girl, what's going on? And the fact that, I don't know, the only thing that almost ruined it for me was the Faith that was like, what did she say? She was like dressed up in Big Sister's clothes or something like that. I was like, you fucking bitch. But now you ruined it for me.
Obviously I chose the prom dress because it's the prettiest outfit of the whole fucking season. It looks so good on Sarah Michelle Gellar too, like designed especially for her as a whole thing. But I can't say that I like Buffy's fashion all that much, because I said that at the beginning of the season when she had them stupid flowers in her hair and she was dressing like a little girly girl, because they wanted to like later on in the season show the difference between her outfits and Faith's outfits, and they wanted to separate Buffy from like she would have looked more like Faith in season 1 and 2 of Buffy. Really, season 2 of Buffy, Faith and Buffy would have been like, because she wore more nudes and blacks and dark colors, and she didn't have as much edgy makeup, but she had a different style that was more on the borderline alternative, like kind of like I don't know, it had style to it, but it wasn't like overly flared half the time. Versus season 1 Buffy obviously was a whole thing. She like thought she was a go-go person with her go-go boots and little skirts, like she was from the 70s most of that season. But I noticed we didn't really also like commentate too much. Like we didn't have too much Buffy fashion watch like we did last season or the season 1 and things like that too. And that was probably also due to the fact that I hated most of Buffy's outfits until later in the season. They started getting a little bit better and things like that again. From my like best costuming, I loved that red leather top that Faith had. Again, I'm just going to shout that out from enemies. Like that was a hot fit. Like the only other thing I noticed was like apart from like the shit Willow was wearing that we're always commenting on, like itchy sweaters and bullshit like that. Like or Oz, I seem to comment this season a lot on Oz's t-shirts. Like things that he was wearing. So I was like, I need his wardrobe apparently, or his shirts at least. What came in as your best fight scene?
Clearly Buffy versus Faith.
Same. I think we all know why at this point.
Is there a better fight scene?
No.
In this season?
No.
Exactly.
In the series, sort of, but not really. What was your favorite 2K per slay?
The first one, because I had to, was Buffy lightning striking Gwendolyn Post's arm off in Revelations. And something you just brought up a second ago, which is my second one, which is the genius idea with the holy water at the end of Helpless.
I agree. That one is in mine. It's a little further back in my stuff, but I really like the slay of him. I like the slay of Mr. Trick because it was done by Faith, and I talked about his eyeball falling away from his dust and all this other stuff. Like it was cool. Principal Snyder was in my 2K per slay favorite realm because fuck him. But my number one spot for 2K per slay this season was Kakistos because that motherfucker, being 7 foot tall, he thought he was going to do the damn thing and kill the Slayer, and he's like, I don't give a fuck if there's 2, I'll kill them all. Like the whole thing. I'm glad he got pierced with that big ass fucking staff. Like also that's just iconic. She picked up a big ass beam and shoved it through his ass. Like I know we watched Buffy crumple up in her hand that fucking metal pot while Angel was draining her blood. I know we watched her throw one little leg at and break a fucking table in half. We watched her peel boxes off with damn nails in it that her mom was trying to open with a damn sledgehammer for 45 minutes. Like we've seen it all. But for Faith this season, this bitch to come in hot with that fucking slay, like that was one of the moments that attribute to like a display of Slayer power, like how much strength they have to push a fucking beam that's already heavy in itself, like it's a fucking pencil going through some butter. So
yeah.
And that's the butter that I'm talking about spreading on kissing toast because that was his name. Buffy got confused.
Oh shit.
That was not planned. That just happened.
That was so funny.
All right, so to close up our rankings, I did want to add some analytics to how we performed this season because I did it last season. I thought it was fun. This is what our top 5 episodes stream between. I'll go for Spotify first and then Apple. Spotify, our number 1 most streamed episode this season was Amends. Our second was Anne. Third was Dead Man's Party. So random. Fourth was Faith, Hope, and Trick. And 5 was The Wish. Over on Apple, Faith, Hope, and Trick came in at number 1. Second place was Amends. Third was Revelations. 4 was Lover's Walk. And 5, for some fucking ungodly reason, still confuses me to this day, was Beauty and the Beast.
Stop.
That was the fucking number 5, like most listened to on God. Apple.
I like how that's the one we like universally agreed on not being like.
Hey, it's still at the back end of that list, but whatever.
That's true.
But yeah, that's our lovely analytics for this season. That's what you guys episode wise seem to like the most. Obviously, 3 months from now, I'm pretty sure Graduation Day and like Enemies and a couple of those other episodes will be the ones that chart off more so. But Amends obviously is because we had Investigating Angel podcast on. So like everybody that knew of them went and listened to that episode for sure. People probably came and listened just because of them. So it popped off. It was great.
It was.
All right, real quick before we get into character development, let's do this really quick flash version of Buffy seasons 1 through 3 trivia.
Oh hell!
All right, here we go.
I'm gonna tell you this is not gonna go well.
All right, but don't try to think about it too much. If you get it wrong, get it wrong. No one's gonna come for you and message me on the account and say you need to kick that bitch.
I'm not.
It is what it is.
I already know this is gonna go wrong. I'm just gonna let you see how wrong this is gonna
I hope you surprise yourself.
I hope you realize to never do this again. All right, go.
The first category is quotes / who said it.
Oh hell.
All right, we have a little handful. First one. Who was the first character to speak a line in the very first episode of the series?
How am I supposed to remember that? So you're saying the first person to ever
The
talk?
first line ever spoken in the show, obviously, is done by a person. Who was that person? Think about the very opening scene to Welcome to the Hellmouth.
Xander. No. I don't know.
All right, I'll give you a hint. The line is, "Are you sure this is a good idea?"
Oh my god, I have no. Oh wait, hold on. Is it Cordelia?
No.
Who is it?
It's Darla. Her and the guy in the leather
I
jacket
would've
are
never
breaking
guessed
in
that.
through the science lab, and she eats
Oh,
him. She's
fuck.
the first vampire we see on the show.
I forgot that was even the opening scene. See, I told you it's gonna be.
We're
bad.
just not even going to do the rest of them. I'm
Okay,
just kidding. All right, the second one. This is Who Said It, and pretty much the rest of them are as well.
Okay.
Think of me as your judge, jury, and executioner. It comes with an air of like, I'm fucking annoying.
Snyder.
There you go. Snyder said it to Buffy and Sheila in the room whenever he's like hating on them in school for it. I'm pretty sure that was the episode.
Yeah.
And that was obviously season 2. Next one, plus bonus points for using the word mosey. In context to Scott Hope.
Oh, no idea. Is it Willow?
It's her boyfriend.
Oh.
He comments on the fact that Scott Hope said the word mosey to lighten the situation.
I see. Okay.
It's okay that you're getting all of them wrong. It's fine.
I got one right. What do you mean?
Oh, did you? Oh, Snyder, because I gave you a hint. No, I'm just kidding.
All you said was annoying. I could have easily said Xander.
All right, next one. By the way, I like your dress.
I don't know.
All right, think about somebody collapsing into a pool of water and their now dress is wet. By the way, I like your dress.
I don't know.
Oh my god. The master said that to Buffy after he drained her and she was falling into the water to drown.
Oh, shit.
All right, you'll definitely get this one right.
Watch me not.
I may be love's bitch, but at least I'm man enough to admit it.
Is it Buffy?
I'll say it one more time and we'll pretend
I
it's
have
the first
no
one to it.
idea.
I may be love's bitch, but at least I'm man enough to admit it.
Is it Wesley?
It's Spike. He said it to Buffy and Angel over their like whole
I didn't
lovers
even think about
walk
Spike.
thing.
I forgot about Spike's whole existence.
Courtney really do be forgetting these things. All right, well, I have no saving grace for the last
I told
two.
you. I try to forewarn you. Don't listen.
All right, 2 more. I am Bugman, 𝐂𝐂𝐾𝐏. Who was the bug man?
I don't know.
Norman, the bug dude that turned into all the little itty bitty buggies. Damn, you're not great at this.
I told you.
Xander said that. All right, finish this quote by Faith.
Oh, God.
Isn't it crazy how slang always makes you blank and blank?
Hungry and horny.
Ding, 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 ding. 2 out of 8, right?
A million.
That's obviously correct. All right, next category. Weapons, monsters, and items. I think you'll do better with these, potentially.
Maybe not.
What weapon did Angelus want to torture Giles with because they didn't have them back in his day?
Oh, God.
He also screams out later, all right, someone get the, because he wants to use it. He brings it up twice.
Shit, I don't remember. I don't know what that means.
Oh, I was trying to give Courtney some charades, y'all. It was a chainsaw. He's like, all right, somebody get the chainsaw. He's like, in my day, they didn't even have chainsaws.
Damn,
When he's torturing Giles. It's okay.
Yeah, see, I don't remember this.
I thought you were going to get that one right. All right. What was used to defeat the judge?
A fucking, what do you call it? A damn rocket launcher shit.
Ding, 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 ding. Apparently that's the noise I'll make when you get them correct. Otherwise we'll go boo. Sorry. All right, next one. What did Angel gift Buffy in episode 1, Welcome to the Hellmouth?
Episode 1?
Mm-hmm. He gave her 2 iconic items on the show. What was the first one?
Was it did he give her a necklace? Okay, yes. Okay, the necklace, thank you.
The cross necklace.
Yes. I was like, it couldn't have been the ring because that's way too soon.
All right, think about this one in context of that I had to go do this. In Lie to Me, Ford reveals Buffy's past odd favorite snack. What was it?
Odd favorite snack.
Yes, she liked to put this item in a water item, but not water.
The apple
liquid.
juice.
Okay, that's
And Oreos.
Good job. Good
Okay.
job. See, I just have to pull it out of your memory a little bit. Maybe next season
you have to
or next time I
coax
do
it
these,
out.
I'll coax it out because it is hard to remember. You've only seen the show like one time through, maybe each episode 2 times and recorded it. So it's hard. Next one. This one will be hopefully because you'll remember it's from season 1, so it's been a while ago. But I think I labeled this out pretty well for you to possibly remember and really think about how I talked about it that episode, and it really tripped me the fuck out.
Okay.
What food item did Andrew Borba, the vampire that they mistook as the anointed one in Never Kill a Boy on the First Date, he was continuously walking around the funeral home saying this phrase, and it was about a food item. It's 3 words. He just kept saying it too. He's got that country kind of accent.
Hold on.
It's like I'm not going to breadcrumb you.
Beans.
What's the first part of it though?
Did he say I need beans?
No, he did not say I need beans. But beans is the last of the 3 words. It's
hold
something.
on.
The middle word is and.
Did he say pork and beans?
Pork and beans.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Pork
Yes.
and beans.
Yes. Okay.
Why did he say that? We don't know still to this day. But he's dead. So.
It's a mystery.
All right. Last one for this category. What was the name of the magic mitten that Gwendolyn Post / Lagos was in search for in Revelations? Buffy called it a magic mitten, as I put in the title. But what was its actual name?
It was like a glove.
Okay, the glove of...
Fucking shit. I really can't remember.
It has the same first letter of the word mitten. This is hard. I get it. Do you want me to tell you yet?
Give me like the second letter of it.
I think it's a Y. But it would be pronounced like an I if you were to say the word out loud.
All I want to say is kissing toast.
That has nothing to do with anything.
That's not even the same. Okay.
Okay. The glove of Menagon.
Menagon. Oh my god. Yes, I totally forgot about that.
I'm here for the glove of Menagon. Is that sacred flame? Or the fucking fire, or whatever the fuck she called that shit.
Yeah, I'm not good at this.
Stupid bitch. Okay. Name that character. It was a random guest or a side character. It's not a main role.
Okay.
What was the name of the boy Buffy was trying to date and Never Kill a Boy on the First Date? He read Emily Dickinson and was brooding and really wanted to get into danger by the end of the episode, but she had to break it off with him. And Giles awarded her Shining Slayer that episode for standing up and doing the right thing. His name is 4 letters.
Owen.
Do you really remember? Or is that just
No, that was just the first thing that came. But yes, now I do.
His name
now
is
I
Owen.
remember Owen.
Yes.
I remember
She's like,
what Owen looks like. Yes.
Me and Owen would like for you to go somewhere that's away. See, this is how long I've watched the show.
Yeah,
I would get every of these answers correct. All right, next one. Who is Giles' ultimate foe / old pal?
Ethan Rain.
Good job. What was the transfer student's name who was murdered and had his identity stolen by the Inca mummy princess?
Oh, fuck. God damn it. What was his name?
What did I keep shouting in that episode when we were recording it?
Oh my god, how did I forget this already?
He was an...
Hold on.
She assumes someone's identity, so she is in...
Oh my god.
You even noted it in our season 2 wrap up, like, or I put it in there as a clip, but like you said it in our season 2 wrap up.
How did I forget this bitch's
Season 2 wrap up,
name?
you made a comment and you were like, you just kept saying the whole time we were recording it. I'm trying to give it like it's like a...
How can I not think of this? This is like such a brain fart.
Right, I'm gonna give you one more hint. A noodle.
A noodle?
Like what? Like there are noodles you cook with them to make a... Like Italian food is mostly what type of...
Impasta.
Impasta. But that was the joke name. Ampada. There you go. Good job. All right. What was Amy's mother's name? She was a great cheerleader. Catherine the Great. Beautiful. Good job.
Okay.
I don't know. What did I call the original pack of student hyenas during our recording of The Pack? Sans Xander, there were 5 of them. If there's not 5, there are, and this number is
4
the core 4
assholes.
Good job. The core 4 assholes. That was a really long time ago. That was like
yes, I remember
episode of season 1. Like that was really, that's hard. All right. This next category only has a couple because the next category is 2K per slay. The 2 question per slay, we'll call it, as I wrote my jokey notes. How many vampires out of 10 did the Scoobies dust while Buffy was away for the summer in LA before season 3 started? Remember, Willow tries to say it, and Oz corrects her that it's not the number that she said, and he goes, no, this is wrong.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Do you have a number that you would want to guess between 1 and 10 in general?
4.
Good guess. That's wrong. Willow, I do believe, if I'm not wrong, goes, we dusted 8 out of 10, and he goes 6 out of 10. And she goes 6 out of 10 vampires. So they killed 6 out of 10. And then the final one for 2K per slay. How did Buffy kill Jorkindastot and killed by death?
She snapped his neck.
Good job. Look at ding, 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 ding. Y'all, I motioned my head to
love it.
snap it so that we should remember. But remember, she was like fighting him. He was invisible and she like pulled and broke his
Oh,
neck.
yes. Okay. Yes.
All right. Last category, episodes, titles, and actions.
Okay.
Mostly titles and actions from the episode. So it's either a title of an episode, which you're probably going to fill out, or an action that happened within it.
This is going to be bad.
There's only 5, so we're good to go. What episode featured Moloch the Corruptor?
I can't remember what it was called.
I'll give you a hint. Tarzan. And what was Moloch? Like once he became his final form in that episode. Those 2 things will be key hints for this title if you want hints and help. Damn.
No, don't know.
I, Robot, You, Jane.
Oh, fuck.
He was a robot, Tarzan, Jane.
Yes, that makes sense now.
All right. What does Buffy do to piss off everyone in the season 2 opener when she was bad?
Was it the slutty dance?
Yes, the sexy dance with Xander is iconically what it's called.
Yes,
because
sexy
Willow
dance. Sorry.
Willow says, "Is it because you did that sexy dance with Xander?" Which episode featured the swim team being turned into sea monsters?
Shit. I know it had fish in the title. No, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bad fish. Was it bad fish?
No, but it is it is 2 words, and it's something fish.
Go fish.
There you go. Does that sound familiar now?
Yes.
All right. What episode did Buffy and Angel share their first kiss? The answer is within the statement.
You mean within the question? Is it called the kiss?
Oh, yes. No. Yes, but also within the question.
I don't remember.
Do you remember when they kissed the first time? She brought him dinner in a bag in her room. She didn't know he was a vampire.
Vaguely.
Self-titled. It's the episode we learn all about him.
Is it Angel?
The episode is called
Oh.
Angel. It was the 7th episode in season 1.
Okay.
All right, last one. What is the final thing Lily says to Buffy and Anne?
The final thing.
The very last line that Lily says in that episode. And I made a big deal about it.
I don't remember.
She asked her a question. The episode's called Anne.
I know what the episode is called.
Then you have almost a whole answer right there. All right, I'm going to open up the scene for you because you know it. She lays out the outfit on the bed and she fondles Buffy's name tag on her diner outfit. It's
she wants to be Anne.
I
don't
be
remember
Anne?
what. Okay, I didn't know that.
Hold on, I got you. Can I be Anne? Damn, Courtney, I thought you were going to get that one out of all of them.
No,
all right, that's fine. You got 3 out of 27 right, so whatever. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's better than I thought. I was going to get 0.
Well, I hope you guys had fun listening and waiting to see if she got it right or wrong. So it is what it is. Don't be embarrassed. It's fine. Next season, I can let you go through. Go terribly. You can do Buffy season 4 trivia next season and ask me the questions, and you'd be like, "God damn it." Maybe
Oh, you know
maybe
what?
we'll do that.
Let me, because I'm going to start prepping for that now. I'm going to make these the
You're gonna be
hardest
like,
motherfuckers
what color
alive.
cup was Joyce drinking out of in episode 3? And you're gonna be mad when I say blue.
For real.
All right.
For real.
Let's quickly, as obviousness, because last season we had a whole thing and we had to do a whole
let's
separate
go.
episode. And I'm leaving that part in. Character development. Obviously, we're going to have so much time to grow with these characters, and this season was very pivotal. And we wrote 2 questions at the beginning of this. So who was your favorite character this season, just overall?
The same as it always probably is.
Who?
Giles.
Damn, okay, all right. That was probably, I don't remember your season 1 and 2. You might have chose that.
I don't remember either.
Willow was up in your higher categories last season, I think.
Yeah.
I also think that's the first time I asked this question specifically, but
maybe
we put somebody in the hot category last time. I chose Faith.
As your favorite?
Yeah. Because she has not favorite character because of her morals, because of like what she created in the season and the story that it was able to be told. Like,
that makes sense.
But I also like her because of her overall arc on the series. Like, it's just awesome. So it was a cool journey with her. And then which character changed the most by season's end, in your opinion? And the least?
The most, other than the mayor turning into a giant ass snake demon, would be Faith.
Literally
unfortunately changed. In the worst ways. And the least for me was Xander, but not because like of shade or because he's stagnant, but also when you compare him to everyone else's like development journey, his is kind of lesser than. So
I agree. I chose for my just changed the most Buffy and Willow as far as people go. You know, like we saw the most from them truly across the series too. Like Willow did so much more with her witchcraft this season. She had so many more plot points driven around her in a way.
She was a close runner up for me too.
And then my least was Xander, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
As far as our individual characters, you know, Buffy herself, the totality of her journey through this whole season, everybody's seen the episode, so I really don't have to go crazy with it. But like where she started and ended this season, like I said in the opener, her starting the season so low and carrying the energy that she was to commanding an army of students, like to help her and like invite everybody in versus blocking everybody out was just so big. Like her lessons, the energy against Faith, that drove so much for Buffy's story this season. And I really like how choice being the main theme really for this season, Buffy seemed to always make wise decisions, except for Angel drinking her blood. That was a whole problem. But overall, the rest of it, like, I think it says a lot about a person whenever they're faced with the option to go bad and also possibly not really have any major repercussions of it, because her and Faith could have went on the lam together and been, you know, lovers and fighters all at the same time, and they could have spiraled together in a way, and they would have ran shit at least for a while until they reached some kind of crash out or burnout or like got killed accidentally by some, you know, cops gunning them down because they're trying to rob all these places, or wrong place, wrong time. When you're negative energy just seems to find you easier. And Buffy really chose the high road most of the season. She really powered through for people. She also was, once again, a continued beacon of light for others, like what she did in Amends with Angel, and being a guide to her friends and always wanting to protect people, choosing to still be the good Slayer over the bad Slayer option, just really seals out a whole lot for me when it comes to like the character development of her. Also, she took a huge step from where she came from last season into this season, not just like I said with the big command and stuff at the end and how she like really stepped into the role of Slayer. Also, like, just to throw it in there, how I keep saying, like, first couple seasons, she really didn't want to be by helpless. She really wants to be the Slayer, and she finds a sense of pride in it. So that's really important to that story that is happening with Buffy along the way as well. There's just like a lot of instances that obviously happen to Buffy that are continued to be an occurring thing every single episode, where like her life just kind of goes to shit in certain ways. Like she can't just have a normal day, not even just from being the Slayer. Sometimes it's just like other things happening around. Like she's just a natural attraction and some bullshit. But I don't know. She had some grand lessons this season, and like obviously she had to learn the hard way with this whole existence of her love between her and Angel to kind of like create the dynamic stuff that we usually do. Buffy and Angel's story across the whole arc of the season 2. It was very challenging for them. And I think she navigated it the best way like a 17 to 18-year-old girl could, especially with someone that has as much responsibility as she has as well. And that's just to say for everything in totality this season. It's not just the Angel stuff, like everything, every little thing for her. She made good decision and wise decision after good decision. Even coming back to like revelations and not telling the group initially, like we talked about in that episode, and not being like super upfront. She kind of wanted to like doesn't mean she wasn't eventually going to tell them, but she wanted to see what was going on before she came with no answers. People had questions that she could not answer. You know what I mean? So she wanted to keep it hidden. She had her obviously other reasons too, but she was just as confused. She had to process, and no one seems to give Buffy the grace of processing things sometimes on this show, like especially her friends, as we'll continue to kind of learn in certain ways. They just want her to get over stuff faster. They think like she's a strong, tough, character person in their world, so they're like, oh, Buffy can't have a bad day, like a weak day or like weak moment, you know what I mean? And when we see it that way, we're just gonna, like Willow always try to talk her out of it, like, I'm sure you won't grow a demon penis, or I'm sure you'll get your powers back. Like, she doesn't really get raw with her in certain ways, and in some ways she does. I'm not saying she doesn't, but that's just like something I noticed. But obviously Buffy is our main character, and like, I think that this season was just really progressive for the type of person that she's going to be becoming. And it's like, almost, if anything, like, I think I know the season 2's theme was really becoming, but honestly, I feel like I could put it right up there with like growing up. That becoming is kind of an overall arc that continues throughout the series as well, because she does always become a better version of a Slayer than she used to be in some way, shape, or form or aspect,
That's so true.
That's all I'm gonna say about Buffy.
I kept mine pretty simple anyway, but for Buffy, I thought that the season really ended with her learning to like love herself and believe in herself enough to obviously leave the council and step into adulthood with more autonomy, which I think will help her appreciate her role as the Slayer a little bit more, which is already something that you touched base on earlier, as we're starting to see her do. Because as we can see, when she was robbed of her abilities to be the Slayer this season, that obviously was an enlightening moment for her, and she more or less accepted the burdens and the responsibilities of that differently, I think, this season than she used to, where she was more withdrawn from accepting that. And now at the end of the season, where we're leaving things, it seems more like a power move almost, where she has left the council and she can call her own shots and do her own resourceful shit the way that she feels that she needs to. And as we see and know 9 times out of 10, her decision-making process and her resourcefulness always ends up kind of saving the day. So I think it's fair for her to step into adulthood and be as evolved as a character as she is at the end of the season, because she deserves it. She deserves to have a little bit more freedom and kind of prove to herself and to everyone what she can do without a bunch of rules, regulations, and all these other technicalities. So
yeah, I agree. Her leaving the council in general is something I haven't talked about for the season 3 wrap up. I talked about it for that episode, but that's like a big part of her art too. Like her going basically solo dolo, like Giles is kicked out of the council. She's like, I'm not a part of it anyways. You already got a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not liking you. So like that was a power move right there in itself. So I agree with that statement. Our other Slayer, Faith, I wrote down simple stuff just in general about her. Like, she's an amazing character. It's the coolest concept to bring her in for season 3 as a Slayer that turns bad. We have not seen that done before, nor do we really see that ever again. So she's very unique in that way. And she seems to be like a constant foe to Buffy, as we've seen as the back half of the season unfolds. She's very complex as well, and has way more layers to her onion than Cordelia has, honestly.
Yeah.
And she kind of keeps you guessing on like what's going to happen next. You just, she's bad at this point. So you're like, well, what the fuck comes next type thing. You know what I mean? But to see the progression of her journey and what her story as a Slayer looks like, this season did that really well. And I like the turn that they took with her. And I wouldn't want that any other way, because of, like I said, that being a foe, the foe for Buffy, the one monster or problem that she has to deal with, it being a dark Slayer, is probably really fucked up, because then they're equally matched in a certain way, and it can go either way. That's why the last final battle was kind of like scary watching like what was going to happen with them, like, or any other time they had an instance where they were opposing each other versus working side by side. Faith is somebody that I want to deep dive into like later on a lot more. I'm not really trying to say that. Obviously, we know she's in a coma, and we'll talk about that in Slayer predictions more so than anything. But Faith has more to like her story to tell, you know what I mean, at the end of the day too. So whether that comes at whatever way that it needs to, I can't like go on with it, but I feel like I want to give way more than what I just kind of said. But that kind of sums up initially, other than what I've like loved about Faith and said and voiced across the season as a whole.
Yeah. She creates this really equal opposing energy in the show, and that becoming so concrete, and it not being just like a villain or monster of the week, and it's this person that's so rooted into every episode of the show after she arrives, and all of these other things just make the problem that she becomes feel that much more intense, not just for like the show in general, but for Buffy to have to deal with consecutively. And yeah, I do like what she brought to the show, and I love the fact that her character took such a huge pivotal turn, because I wasn't really prepared, I guess, for the show to have someone of Buffy's stature, but on the opposing side of things. So I do appreciate Faith for what she brought to the table for sure. And I love the way that her character developed, even if it's not in Buffy's favor.
And she's hot.
And she's hot.
I
And
can't forget to mention that.
That's a good pro.
Which is so funny because we started the season being like, well, they should be lovers and all this other stuff. And there's still a bunch of lesbian
I still think that.
subtext, though. Like, you can see all the stuff that they were trying to do across the season where, like, they are kind of star-crossed lovers in a way. Like, in another world, another space and time.
Yeah.
As for Giles, like, he grew a lot this season, but obviously he got fired from the council, and that's the biggest thing. But I feel like he grew more this season into a father role than anything. That's what I noticed that I found myself assessing, like, more so than a watcher, enough for him to get kicked out because of that adoration that he has towards Buffy as a child versus like his charge. And he combined the two, and it occurred naturally at that. It was very organic for that situation to occur for them because their energies just, he developed a certain type of care. And I'm sure that care, like I've said before, happened with other watchers and their slayers, but most of the watchers tend to be like guys with sticks up their ass. English, you know, it's like a whole problem when it comes to them. Obviously we see how the council operates, and they try to govern authority over all of their people working for them, even when it comes to the slayer. So most of them are probably minding their P's and Q's or conditioned just like anybody else in the patriarchy or other problems. Like, they're all of the same mindset. It's like getting all the Republicans together, and that's the Watchers Council, and they're breeding new watchers. Like it's just a problem. It's not a thing. But like, that to me is what I think I noticed the most for Giles this season, was that he grew more into a father figure for Buffy and somebody that stood beside her versus as someone who was just over top of her. He changed the status quo in that way. And I like that because he's kind of resetting the way that we view certain elements of the council, or certain, like, I don't know, he's the one that trusts, I feel like, Buffy the most on this show in certain ways. Like, even whenever he told her in Revelations, you should have come to me. You don't have respect for me or for the job that I perform. And that's because Buffy was always trying to be on the same wavelength, or like have him actually listen to her all the time. She's saying like, we can do this, like, but we just need to do it my way, and I promise it's going to still get done. He eventually learned to trust and accept that she was going to get the job done. You know what I mean? That's why he wasn't arguing like Wesley was whenever it came to like switching out Willow for the box or these other things. He was always on Buffy's side. He stood beside her so many times once Wesley came into fact of like what was going on too. And I didn't even put Wesley in here. I'm so stupid for doing that, but like, I just realized that, like, not that I want to talk about him too much, but he's introduced in this season. And we see him as a watcher. Now, technically, he's not a watcher anymore either because Buffy quit his ass. So, like, it's interesting to see how we had him as a mirror to Giles, as how Giles used to be as Giles was changing, and how, like, that was really fun to watch and witness. And then, honestly, like, by the time Wesley was done hanging out with this group of people, he started getting a little bit more on par with, like, letting Buffy kind of, like, how he came back cowering in part 2 and was like, I just want to help. You know what I mean? He still made a good decision versus being like, well, I'm just going back to England. And I'll next time a Slayer, maybe they'll appoint me to her or something. You know what I mean? Like something dumb, you know? So Giles and Wesley in a nutshell. What you got?
That actually really touches base on exactly what I put for Giles, is the fact that he moved from a very watcher-like position where he was kind of trying to still stay rooted in the rules and regulations of the council, but eventually he caves to the understanding of Buffy and who she is, and that she is fully capable of what she says, and she is very resourceful, and she does know what the fuck she's doing. So I think for him to acknowledge that is not just great for Buffy and his relationship dynamic this season, but like you're saying, at the end of it, we're left with him having no position in the council and only being a father figure role in her life because there is no technicality for them to be working together anymore, you know? So for the fact that she still sources him out, you can tell she's the one that's like very drawn to him. She's so attached to him that even when Wesley arrives, it's hard for her to accept that is her watcher, and to start sourcing him out for those same things that she sources Giles out for.
She's so fuck off. I like Giles better, like whenever he first comes in too.
And I don't even think
the
it's
dynamic of these two.
intentional, because I think that it is just about the fact that Giles is so fatherly for her, you know? So it's like, how can you overnight? Giles would have to actually...
That's like the stepdad trying to come in and override the father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that Giles would have had to actually physically remove himself from the school and from the presence of being anywhere near the kids or near Buffy. They could not have access to him if it were to have been any other way. But I love Giles.
And we can thank Giles for basically the continuation of the season, because had he have not broken Yanka's necklace, then that episode, everything in the world, would have been done.
That's true. Yeah.
Done. Willow. I came down on the fact that, like, she grew obviously so much into her witchcraft. A lot more exploration happened there. She expanded. The expansiveness was expansive. The whole Xander drama, I think, pushed her to change perception on things. And I totally get her. Like, I don't agree with how everything went about. And I'm sure it sucks that the person you wanted and waited for all your life possibly wants a chance with you. But I get the situation, and I'd possibly want that chance to also give that a shot. If I wouldn't go to cheating, but if I felt like, you know, somebody I always wanted to be with, aka you, if you were like, Brandon, let's be straight, and I was like, yes, let's be straight, like, I would be like, all right, let's give it a shot, mate, like, let's try. And then I'm like, all right, let's break up 2 weeks later. We only kissed once.
We would be like Wesley and Cordelia.
No, but like, you don't want to be left questioning, did I make the right choice, or like, I didn't act on that. Am I going to always have this like looming thing over my head of like, didn't I, or should I have? Like, totally. Nobody wants that lingering energy whenever like the one that got away happens or whatever the case. So like, I do get what happened on the show and why she did that. Like, I expected better. I think I say that again somewhere else later, but that's some stuff that I feel like really helped Willow start her arc of growing, especially Oz being accepting to reciprocate coming back into her life and being a part of each other's lives. That choice there to like reinitiate themselves back into that relationship. Once again, like, choices really spread out throughout the whole season in different little ways. You just see a lot of decisions being made, and not just your everyday decisions, big ones, choices that matter. Obviously Doppelgangland was also really big for Willow this season, because her character got this dark version for us to see and for her to assess over. And that was big for her to kind of see what could have happened to her had she not been living or like existing in a certain way. It just helps reframe her own journey, just like Xander's episode kind of did that for him. And then I wrote in parentheses here, I was like, Willow and Xander also both lost their virginity this season. So that was big moments for them. Buffy lost hers last season, and now her two best closest friends did that as well. So that was big for them as far as part of their growth. And all that like is once again kind of expanding upon the becoming kind of story, becoming the next version of yourself. And they became a little bit more so, especially on Willow's side. That's why I chose her as my like one that kind of like grew the most or did whatever in our first couple questions. I feel like Buffy and Willow just did the most changing this season and stuff like that. And Willow was faced with a lot of adversity and sometimes on her own accord, but she learned lessons from what happened to her. And that's why I think she developed so well over the season and led to so much. And she also like is really truly a do-gooder person for the most part. So she does attract good things. So she ended up like, even though she did something bad, she tried to clean up the mess, even if she has to be slapped on the hand a couple times. You know what I mean? Be told a certain thing, because that she wanted Oz to just forgive her and like be on her side of things. And he was like, he presented the lesson to her to be like, that's on you, not me. Like what you're feeling is like, king. Yes, all the things. I should have asked, what did we call Oz in that episode? You would have been like, I don't know.
I would have gotten that right.
So do you have anything to add for Willow?
Her just obviously growing more confident and powerful, and in a way morally complex, which I appreciate for Willow, because she kind of stepped out of this really innocent goody two shoes kind of energy that we're used to seeing her in, and more into a mature version, but not in a way that loses who Willow is, like at her core and as a character, because she's so quirky and so unique to the show, and I love that about her. But I do think that I appreciate seeing this kind of more complex and darker potential with Willow, as far as her evolving into her witchcraft space and all the things that she's trying to practice and that she seems really passionate and excited about. And it just makes me excited to see like where her character will evolve by really the end of the series. Like, I can't even imagine. But yeah, Willow makes me excited to see what's next.
And you can't be ignoring those little innocent, I'm book smart, whatever people, because they the first ones clearly to take your man. So no matter how hot you is.
Clearly.
Okay. Obviously with Willow, we have to have Oz. For this season, especially, and just as what we've kind of seen as Oz has been around since last season, he's very much the most side character we have on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the main cast, especially, like, because we mostly see like little tidbits about his werewolf journey here and there, or like him being featured alongside Willow more than anything to tell his story. And we get a few moments like spread out in between that and like cool stuff, but he doesn't have anything really, I feel like, worth exploring overall, because he's not really on screen for us to assess right now big changes within him, or he hasn't had a fully developed storyline just on his own, or something like with, you know, like some gravitas to it that's just like weighted gravity to his situation.
Didn't get anything to,
you know, we had one episode of like phases and some other stuff. I mean, he did have that one fight scene with Pete, and that was pretty cool. But other than that, he's underutilized. So I really feel like we haven't gotten the chance to see him grow. So maybe we'll get the chance, you know, next season to see a little bit more from him. But at the end of the day, Oz is always just a chill, show up guy, and he's always down for the fight and the cause, especially if it does with Willow. So I'm happy to have him on the show, you know. But they just don't do a lot with him, so it was kind of hard for me to like sit down and really assess without taking too much time just putting out stuff about Oz, you know. Like, this is clear cut, and that's what it is.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I think the only thing that I noted other than that was that he seems like the most emotionally regulated person on the show. Like, his ability to just kind of remain, I don't even want to call it calm. It's just that he's like without emotion. And that's something I like about him, because the show does get so chaotic sometimes that you need that center. So I appreciate his character.
He's like, I'll let up my anger once a month whenever I'm
when it's the full moon.
Yeah. He said, I can contain it. I can compartmentalize until the moment comes.
Exactly. But like I said, I do appreciate him a lot. I've always loved Oz on the show, even though he is underutilized. And other than his top tier emotional regulation skills, I will say that this season I appreciated to see the little bit of evolve in him and Willow's relationship, and them kind of taking the next step. Like you mentioned, Willow lost her virginity, so on and so forth. So I think that that was something valuable to the show, and obviously to Willow and her probably evolution as a character, as those things, those chapters in life tend to change you. So appropriately themed for leaving high school, in my opinion.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit with Willow, though. I have to say, like, not only just for him being the boundary king, he makes good choices for the most part, and he's a standout guy in that way, I guess, for the choices that he makes, because the fact that we had, obviously, like I said, where Willow, there's usually Oz, where Oz, there's usually Willow, and he had the opportunity to walk away from her and not give her a second chance. But he did, and he kind of came through in that way, and I really like them together, truly. So I kind of like his thought process and how he chooses to, like, in a really interesting way, give someone a second chance. Like, most people never give somebody a second chance, especially if they cheated on you. Like, unless you're in a toxic cycle of a relationship. Oz is not a toxic person by far.
No,
so we can't place them in that way in any way, shape, or form. So you know, he did some standout stuff this season. He's an exemplary example of a awesome person, and Xander needs to take notes as well.
Agreed.
Speaking of him himself, I noted that he definitely made some steps forwards, talking about Xander now, because we started bringing him up. Xander definitely made steps forward along his journey this year. Like, he started out very similar to the guy we've always known last season, and pretty much since the beginning, kind of making all those remarks and whatnot. But like, I noticed this time around watching, we didn't hear him saying quite as much of the cringy dialogue as we heard in season 2. He was more placed in like comic relief and actual funny things a little bit more so this season. And he still had moments. Like, they still told his story, like when Buffy could hear his thoughts, he's thinking about Buffy naked and all this other stuff. Like, he's learned to sort of dial back that inner monologue, becoming an outer monologue that he like just professes and says. That doesn't mean he didn't say it, or like there's not a couple episodes where he says something up the lines of that, and not that doesn't continue on the series. That's just part of who he is. But I was like, you know, even with the annoyances and revelations, like him making up with Buffy and amends, and like that was a nice touch. He dialed back on that angel hate this season versus where we got it last season. He waited all the way till graduation day part 2 to say something ill since revelations about this motherfucker. You know, like he was on his P's and Q's because he knew Buffy was gonna pop him down or rip his arm off if he continued to do this bullshit. So I saw growth in that way. And then of course, like his whole the Zeppo journey, like that was key for Xander, and he learned how to like just kind of do him or be okay with the fact that he's a littler person than the rest of the bigger people, the big shots. And it helped him stand up to his biggest enemy, truly, of all life, Cordelia, even after breaking up with her and like, or them breaking up, not breaking up with her because he did not do it. She dumped his ass. That relationship was done. I have to do it. I forgot until I said it. But obviously I did write a couple of sentences saying that I have to shit on him where it counts. Like he cheated on Cordelia.
Yeah.
He fed into the Willow stuff, and even though she's just as much to blame, Xander's to blame first because he used all that leverage of Willow like always wanting him against her in the beginning of the season. And even if it was done sort of unconsciously and he was just flowing with the moment and he didn't do it out of direct like ill intention, his intentions though were not out of a sense of moral, like having good morals intact, like or having respect for his friend, like for Willow, or Oz, or even himself. Like he could have stopped and not followed his hormones, and he could have also just ignored how he was seeing Willow and not instigated making comments like, "Can I kiss your earlobe?" and like so on. You know, like he kept egging it on because he was, and she was okay with it. So I'm not hating on her or him, like truly. And the whole scheme of things, I was just like, what's happening? And like I said with Willow, through that whole exploration, like the timing was pretty shit and it was pretty sloppy and just messy to watch. So I feel like Xander's the friend that you have growing up that always seems to get you in trouble. Also wrote in my notes, you know, like if he's going to go down, he's going to kind of take you with
like
you
you're
almost
guilty
accidentally,
by
inadvertently.
association.
Yeah, in certain ways. But you know, I was surprised though, because out of every season, this is the one where Xander kind of like came a little bit more full circle and more well-rounded in a sense. But he, once again, like he matches down in that Oz kind of category with me, where he didn't grow quite as much as everybody else. And we kind of said that earlier.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I put about Xander is that he seemingly faces consequences, which is a huge theme of the season, obviously. But he does it in a way that almost comes off as not having any introspection, or at least not enough to like shape his character differently after certain things happen that normally make people change their character. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of shocking that his character didn't evolve as much as everyone else's when he himself did have some kind of consequences to face along the way. But yeah, that's it.
Agreed. Cordelia Chase, like I'm so glad her and Xander broke up this season. Like it was bummed kind of how it happened, and it was also bum worthy that she kind of became a snarky bitch to everyone again over the course of the season. So she kind of dialed back a little bit. She wasn't as horrid as Cordelia for season 1, like just ruthless and most of the stuff. She was still pretty ruthless and cutthroat, but not as deep and as uncaring. Like she had a little bit more of a layer to her onion, as we like to say around here. She also developed like new mindsets and was exposed to a lot of alternate ways of thinking by being with the dynamic of the group that she had when she had the friendship and the exposure to them. So that to be said, she's not the same Cordelia overall anymore. And then also the stuff that's happened to her now at the end of the season, like it's a whole big thing. Even like the stuff that happened with Wesley towards the end of the season, making that decision, like they're not actually going to be attracted to each other, like whatever. But Wesley I like because he brought her back into the circle again, because she was there to see Wesley whenever she wanted to come around again, but that still got her working with the gang again. So I really like that she ended up back at that table when she wasn't technically fated to, because of Wesley in a way. You know what I mean? That just kind of goes to show in a weird way, you know, and this is like part of that empowerment that came from Homecoming probably for her when she had that big moment with Gorch where she's like telling his ass off. Like at least she had all these awesome moments in that way. And it kind of helps you to like think about like, why does Cordelia always kind of seem to be popping up in this kind of world? You know what I mean? Like, is she meant for something more or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, or at least by thoughts of it. I mean, I know that like I said what I said about last episode, 'cause she's not on the series anymore, but they opened up the ability to explore more than just her being so shallow the whole time, you know?
So, which was nice.
But it would have been awesome because now I'm sad that we don't really get to see where her story could have gone on Buffy moving forward, you know?
Yeah, that is kind of sad.
All right, great. Angel, do you have anything that you said about him for this season?
He is mature in a painful way. And he's obviously very haunted by guilt and by the fact that loving someone in general, but especially Buffy, will never be something that's maintainable for him. And I think that him realizing that is a lot of what shapes his character this season, especially at the end with his decision to leave and to walk away, because I think he knows that the inevitable nature of where things will go will not be good or healthy for anyone. And while that's difficult, obviously that's a difficult choice for anyone to make, the fact that he did it and the fact that that's what he's doing just goes back to what I said initially. He's very painfully mature, and he's willing to make a choice that is probably hardest on him and hard on everyone, but I think that he knows that it might be the easier one for what it means in the future. And yeah, I think that all of that, the consequences and the choices behind all of that, is what really drove his character from the beginning to the end of the season, especially. I think in general, but especially this season.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I to tail off of that, like I wrote in my notes that he's become one of the most damned characters in the series, like just on the show so far too, apart from really Buffy herself. And I think that's what makes them the perfect couple on the show. A match made in Hellmouth, if you will. Because it's not in heaven. Like they kind of are the perfect pair to learn from each other in that way. So I love obviously their dynamic. I talked about that a little bit with Buffy, but I like wanted to more than anything kind of point out, because obviously his journey is like the most layered other than Buffy. We see a lot from him. We also know that he grew a whole lot this season, because like wanting to die, wanting to not even be here, it's all for something. And I think we'll have so much more opportunity to obviously explore Angel's character development over on his own show. But I wanted to point out, because I was sitting here thinking about like what did I want to say mostly about Angel this season besides the things I've already kind of said. He came back from hell, obviously, and remembered everything that he did to Buffy last season. And then he had to reintegrate himself after being tortured in hell for countless years, on top of having to come to terms that this is the second time he's experiencing this trauma of Angelus and what that brings to the forefront whenever he has to deal with this Angelus personality. And after becoming so close with Buffy, that had to add a whole nother level of pain to his story for this season on his side of things. So like complexity in itself, like not just Buffy and Faith, he's the other, like that's why I call them the pinnacle, the trio of energy for this season of who grows the most, who learns the most, who has the harshest lessons. He's right there in that group, and he had to do all that. And I'm excited, like I said, to lean into where his redemption arc goes now moving forward. But like he got saved this season because like I said, he wanted to die. And I like how that all kind of came off to say like how they've wrapped up his story this season. It's good send-off energy for him, because he has experienced so much for hundreds of years. He's experienced so much. You know what I mean? He's the oldest character on the show. And like you were saying, like I've always kind of said too, his maturity levels are just so top notch as well. So Angel had a lot of like moments that were really growing in a lot of tough decisions to make. And he made the most mature season decisions than everybody else. So he really is the best technically when you think about it. So
yeah,
in certain ways. Joyce, really quickly, I said that she was very on the fence and introduced to Buffy's Slayer status more so this season, and we got to see her walk with Buffy more so than against her, or like not also be in the dark. She was very clued in this season about everything that was going on, and she also, unfortunately, because of that, got exposed to so much more supernatural threats happening alongside Buffy, like now within the home and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we didn't see that last season. I mean, she had the Ted episode, but other than that, it was like she was on the side.
She was more exempt
she got
from
to
the
avoid.
problems.
She was always at the gallery. Now she's not exempt anymore.
Yeah.
And I wrote also in my notes that this bitch was sassy as fuck this season, because between her being so intrigued by Faith when she first arrived and like shitting on Buffy and being like, so tell me more about staying on your side of things, Faith. I don't want to hear about daughter shit anymore. Like you could take over for her. It was a whole thing. And then her having that whole adventure with Giles, and then being the founding president of Moo and doing all that bullshit and gingerbread, and then telling Angel at the very end of the season to get the fuck out of town and leave her daughter alone in the best way. Like this woman was making some quiet but powerful moves this season.
Yeah.
Like
so true.
That's what I really said about her. Do you have anything to add for Joyce?
Other than she obviously, like you said, she moves into a super aware space from a not so aware space, and I think that doubles over into motherhood in general. Like she becomes more aware as a parent, but also obviously as a parent to a vampire slayer. So unfortunately for her, like you said, that leaves her super vulnerable to elements that she's not used to. But I think that in Joyce's nature and in Joyce's humor or I didn't anticipate her handling it differently. And I think that some of the funnier parts of the season actually came from Joyce trying to insert herself into the situations that Buffy has to deal with. So I actually really appreciated the fact that her awareness brought her into the scenery and the settings for where Buffy has to slay. So
she had to be a better or how do I want to say that? She got the option of becoming a little bit better of a parent this season too, like being able
and
to
she
support
took
her
that
daughter.
option.
And I love that quote that she said too, and I'll kind of like use it as one of my quotes for Final Slays, is whenever she's like, I've tried to march in the Slayer Pride parade, like basically ever since she, which is still kind of calling back to that becoming speech and the whole coming out kind of like
and
themes around that and stuff. It's a way to say it. That's the way they played back on that, so that reinforces that was totally queer coded. But like her saying that she's like basically in full support of Buffy even when she's trying to burn her at the stake. So there's all that. She's learned lessons just as much as these other characters too, but she's the one that's most on the sidelines past Oz and all these other ones, but technically she's a little bit better than Oz. She has more screen time. Anya, I just love her so much being introduced in this season, and how she like was a little side character and mini love interest for Xander. She's a very interesting concept, which we talked about recently, and I'm glad that we got to play around with her this season. She's like another complex character technically just because of her situation and what's unfolded with her. So I just like the little mini version of what we got. I didn't want to leave Anya out just because I wanted to say that I really enjoyed her presence this season.
Agreed.
And then I feel like you kind of said some great stuff, like almost like I was like, oh, this is like kind of, this would work so well in this section for the mayor. What you said about him whenever you kind of awarded him being like your favorite villain, you said all the things like I feel like that were very concise. I mean, obviously add more if you have any more contextually, but I wrote down stuff saying like it was really interesting how he had like 100 years of hard work down the drain. Because Faith said he built this town for demons to feed on and enemies. And I was like, so he sourced out the Hellmouth, and he really is to blame for everything that's went down in this town. That's why he's a true villain for the series overall. And what an interesting villain this season, because like his personality compared to like his eerie vibe, like those off times with him, I was never really afraid of him, not the way that I was over the Master or like Angelus, because he didn't have that much like pull to him to be like, what the fuck? Or like even Spike and Drusilla, like I was a little bit more actually scared of what they might do versus like waiting around for the mayor to do something. Plus we knew he had like a slow crawl to something. Just his plan being so meticulously long awaited as a tourist, I can appreciate that like slow. It's like the Knight of Pentacles, like it's that slow draw forward, you know, like steady. The turtle is going to win the race versus the rabbit kind of bullshit type stuff. He gives off that energy when it comes to that. He really wins in the end because of his preparation and timeline. So I think that's a really cool component of him. His balance of light to dark is really equally, he's got to be a Libra sun and moon, you know what I mean? Like, and then a Scorpio rising or some shit, like some shit like that. And then obviously like how Chris said, and this kind of is double-sided because I have the question down here later for us to say one character that deserved more screen time. Mine's someone else, but I put it as a note in here for the mayor. Like we never really got to learn. I know you said we had some like exploration on him, but it would have been cool, like Chris was saying, to get a random episode for Faith to show like how her story started, like how they would do nowadays on TV. They'd have a solo episode out the season that had nothing to do with our other characters. It was like showing a past version of Faith, how she became the Slayer or something like that. They should have mirrored that episode with the mayor, like with Faith cutting back and forth from her timeline to his timeline, and showed us some of the past, like him being married to Edna May, him coming to town and creating the town and doing all this other stuff. They should have implemented
like they've done
that,
with
or
Angel
flashbacks and stuff. Exactly. They should have done an episode or something like that, because I think that's annoying that we don't really get to like learn how he sold his soul, because he quotes like, "Oh, I sold my soul. Like they're slippery as a weasel. Why do you think I sold mine?"
There's
like,
lots of holes in his
like
story.
why is he not human? Is it because he sold his soul? Like what made him want to ascend one day? Like all these other things. I want to know those answers, and I didn't get them. But I like how he was able to just basically do his thing, and like he was a looming threat the whole season. We had to like wait to see what was going to happen with him, and up until the end, like get revealed exactly what he was planning to do, and like by really the last couple episodes, what he was going to turn into as well. Like new disastrous levels of potential were reached with this character, and especially him being paired up with the bad Slayer as well, like his dynamic with Faith and everything like that as well. Okay, cool. What's one storyline that you wish the show had pushed further this season?
Something you actually just talked about, which is more of a thorough look into Faith's life prior to arriving on the show. And not because of curiosity, even though that's part of it, but also because I think it would have developed a better understanding for viewers on why it seemingly is that she has a lot of toxic tendencies and energy even before like her complete character changes to something different. I think that it's very easy to see that she is a darker side of the Slayer, and I want to know why. I want to know why her upbringing was so rough. I have a lot of questions about her childhood. I have all these different things that come up when I think about Faith and why she behaves the way that she does. So I feel like it would have been nice to see for context because she became such a pivotal character in this specific season. It would have been nice to just have a little bit more insight, I think, on her character. Even now that she's in a coma, it would have just been nice to know.
Yeah, I chose Faith in the Mayor, basically, like, which is pretty much what I rolled into. That was my next part of my thing, and that's why I just kind of summed it up with the Mayor. But then I had the other question, obviously. I started to touch base on, like, one character who deserved more screen time. Who did you choose?
Oz.
Okay, fair.
And that's just because I love Oz and I like
Yeah.
what he brings to the table. And I like the potential of his character. You know, we don't know what his potential is because he hasn't had enough screen time. So I think that
we said he was underutilized a minute ago. So.
Yeah, and I think if they did utilize him more, we would probably there's a good potential we would enjoy him and his presence. But yeah, so I think that Oz, for me, I would have liked to have more screen time just because I love his character and he just brings a certain kind of energy that the other ones don't have to the table that I can appreciate. So I hopefully will see more of Oz. I don't know.
He's still there. He's with his boyfriend. We're going to see more of him. The character that I chose, which I didn't even think about Oz, but I kind of wanted to go really outside the box. I chose Jonathan.
Oh.
Because I still like stand by that he should have been a Scooby, because I made that comment, like Willow was clearly like just as lame as him, and like so was Xander and stuff. They should have had him in the friend group with Jesse growing up and stuff like that. And then like specifically in my notes I wrote he would have fit in with them, and he was always around because they put him in scenes all the time, especially since season 2. We've seen him scattered, like he's always been here. So I was like, why not make more use of him versus always just making him be the worst of the worst outcast? Besides like Marcy, he's like the second one up to her that's been the most invisible on the series, you know what I mean? But yet kind of seen and there, like he just wasn't given the opportunity to be in this circle versus facing the war alone with himself that he always apparently has been forced to like live out. Because like what we saw with him in Earshot, like where his mental health had basically declined to where he didn't want to exist anymore because he already felt like he was non-existent to people, which it goes to probably say his home life is probably crap too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I'm glad we got him or got what we got from him, because it makes both like Earshot and The Prom really stand out in a connected way because of Jonathan's story. So I like that they've been fucking around with him like on the sidelines throughout the series. You know what I mean? So that was the character I chose. All right, that kind of closes up character development. Of course, we always got to have our honorary rest in peace section. And every season I've called this something unique, but this season I chose to call it The Future is Ours, but not for some people. All right, so let's have a moment of silence for our fallen characters, both good and bad. Starting with the good guys, we have Ricky, worked to death in a hell dimension and supposedly died by suicide by Drano. Because, you know, they've made him fake his death, or he did kill himself with that. I don't really know how that went down. We talked about that. I'm like, I guess he drank the Drano to kill himself because it was crazy in his head. But same episode, we had Aaron. Do you remember Aaron? He died after wishing he replied with no one, being smashed in the head with a club by that demon, because he was like, who are you? And he's like, Aaron. And he's like, wrong, no one. Bam, you're now no one because you're now dead. We had the stoner guy at the dead man's party. He got his neck twisted near clean off by a zombie. He was like the one that was like on the phone. He's like, sorry, Mr. Belvedere. Like, you can't talk to anybody here. There's no Bunny Summers in this house. Is there a buddy here? Anyways, I wrote, obviously, just as a little sideline gag to give her a little something, Faith's original watcher killed by Kakistos. Then we had Debbie killed by her boyfriend, Pete. Put her in the good guy category, obviously, because, you know, even though she's making bad decisions, she's still a good person, hopefully. Buffy Summers, I wrote in here because obviously in the Wishverse, she had the death at the hands of the Master for a second time. So she died this season. She was a casualty on the good side. Hobbs and Blair of the Watchers Council, both killed by Kralik. The Deputy Mayor, Alan Finch, slayed by Faith. Sandy, killed by Vampire Willow in the Bronze. Professor Worth, killed by Faith. Larry Blaisdell, death by vicious drop, aka spinal cord severed by the mayor's demonic tail, aka scoliosis, would have been happening in his life had he not just died. And then finally on the good guy list, if we want to really put her there, Harmony Kendall, murdered by a vampire during graduation. The bad guys. Ken, scoliosis formation when Lily pushed him off the ledge, and then Buffy crushed his head in with a club. And let's not forget when he was pinned by the fence through his calves on the last part before it happened. So poor Ken technically did deserve all three of these injuries that happened. He literally got pushed off a ledge, got his fucking calves eaten the fuck up by them damn bars of that gate, and then got his head smashed in by Buffy. Like, he had it probably the worst out of all these people. Then we had Pat, killed by a zombie and then slayed with a shovel to the face by Buffy. I put both zombie version and regular version of Pat in the bad guys category, because who says something about a picture looking like it? And also, why were you a fucking bitch talking about crazy book club and hating on Buffy and putting all this bullshit in Joyce's ear? Like, you were not a good friend. You were a bad friend, Pat. And you're also passive aggressive. Passive aggressive. I can't say it differently now. Passive aggressiveness is not cute. So you're a bad guy. We had Pete, neck broken by Angel. Spiny-headed demon blown up in the bando. German twins executed one another with gunfire. And Candy Gorch staked by Buffy with Cordelia's spatula. Gwendolyn Post killed by the glove of Menegon. After her arm was obviously chopped off of Buffy. Vampire Willow and Xander along with Angel in the Wishverse. Even though I don't know why I should have put Angel in the good guy category because he died in the Wishverse too. I forgot. Pretend I said it there, guys. Zachary Kralik poisoned with holy water by Buffy. Vampire Blair slayed by Giles. The Sisterhood of Jay / Jack O'Toole. The Sisterhood of Jay obviously were killed by everybody across the episode, and then Jack O'Toole was eaten by Were Oz. Balthazar electrocuted by Buffy. Skylar stabbed to death by Faith. That random box of Gavrock dude killed and mutilated by Faith. You know, she cut his hand off after death. We had the Hellhounds, and they were taken out one by one by Buffy. Principal Snyder, eaten by the ascended giant snake, aka the mayor. Mayor Richard Wilkins III, blown to smithereens by Giles and technically Buffy. And as always, all the demons, vampires slayed across the season, along with any casualties of humans. Rest in peace, bitches. Now we can move into our season 3 final slays for the last time.
Final slays.
So, because we did so much with quotes, I think just moving forward, like if we have a couple of quotes that stand out for us, totally cool. But we do so much on the daily with quotes when it comes, or every recording with quotes. I found myself leaving this empty until this morning. And I was like, okay, well, you got to put something in this spot, Brandon. You can't just leave it empty. So I went back and I was like, okay, what things like kind of stand out to you as quotes that come out? My first one that I'm going to choose is Larry. Whenever in the beginning of Anne, everybody's like getting pepped up for school and stuff. And he's like, if we could just have not as many mysterious deaths and whatever, Sunnydale's going to rule. Like, he lists out a bunch of other stuff. But I really like that because it was just the awareness that was already there. And if you think about that at the beginning of the season compared to the end when Larry knows everything, like the mysterious stuff still did continue to happen and the odd stuff. But that awareness that he had about that weird stuff, now he had a name to it because he was at graduation and at the prom. So we heard the speech about Buffy and all this other stuff in theory, even though we didn't see him on screen. Like, now that I think about it, that kind of sucks. Larry was not in the prom episode, so he should have been. Should have saw him walk in with somebody, a boy. Like, that would have been iconic, wouldn't
That's
it?
true.
And then my second one, I really liked Spike in Lover's Walk whenever he's like, I brought her beautiful dresses with beautiful girls in them. Like, talking about Drusilla and shit. Like, I thought that was so funny. But obviously we had the slew of quotes that we said across the whole season anyways. But those were the two that kind of really truly stood out to me this time around.
Yeah, and I agree. We do a lot with our quotes. The one that I'm going to bring back, which we just covered recently, but I just love this moment so much, is where Wesley says to Buffy, you can't turn your back on the council. And she says, they're in England. I don't think they can tell which way my back is facing. Because that just brings us right to where we are now also in this moment with Buffy. So it's just so iconic.
It is. I'm going to have to double down also on my I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you are as my quote for the overall season, because that's just Shining Slayer. Who'd you give yours to? I didn't choose Buffy because that's a duh.
I had to choose Buffy because there's no one else.
Well, mine, shocker. If I couldn't choose Buffy, as I was saying, he's an exemplary man. Exemplary. He's a great man. I chose Angel. Hear me out, though. Like, without saying Buffy, he in my mind is the next person in line, just because, like you were saying, and this is kind of funny because you said this earlier without me saying it, he's the most mature person on the show. Like, he has always called things out. Even if he acted on them anyway, he tends to be a voice of reason. And for him making the decision to leave Sunnydale at the very end and Buffy behind and make that tough but very, very right call, that takes a lot of discipline and self-examination. So he shines to me because he did a lot of work. He worked through mental health issues this season. He worked through trauma more than anybody else. Buffy had trauma, but he's got 200 and something years worth of trauma. He's Shining Slayer for me this season when it comes to like the second.
That makes sense.
Buffy is Shining Slayer. Duh. She's number 1. He's number 2.
That makes perfect sense.
What gave you the overall wigs for season 3? Wiggins. What's the Wiggins?
Faith's attitude, Faith in general, Faith's character development, where we are right now with Faith. I don't know. Basically anything to do with Faith, and anytime Willow's outfits were fuzzy.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh wait, and the mayor's room temperature milk.
Okay, got it. I'll put the mints on there even though it's not on mine because they go with the nasty ass milk. Mine, interestingly enough, I was like sitting there and I was like, what, give me the Wiggins? And obviously I could choose little moments like that, but I chose specifically the twists that we got with couples this season. The unhealthy displays. Buffy and Angel, we had it with Pete and Debbie, Willow and Xander, Vampire Willow and Xander, Joyce and Giles, Cordy and Wesley, Faith and her Watchers, Faith and Buffy, Faith and Angel, Buffy and Scott, Lily and Ricky, the Demon Dogs and Trevor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop before I run out because I could probably go on. But there were so many unhealthy dynamics and displays of like couples this season and like stuff like that. I was like, that kind of gives me the overall Wiggins because this season seemed to have a running theme on people who should not be together.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, just to throw that out there.
I agree with that. Yeah.
The couples on this show were truly giving me the Wiggins for season 3 on broad assessment like that way. That Slade moment for you. What Slade, Courtney? What Slade for season 3?
Mine has to go to the amazing fake Angel betrayal and the stellar, clever plot twist, and yeah, just love that Slade for me the hardest this season.
Fucking bussin'. I chose Buffy on the hilltop with Angel and Amends, Buffy with Jonathan in earshot, because to me, obviously, like there's great moments like in the show in general, literal slays and attitudes of slay, but like the energy between those two, Buffy saving these two people. Loved that. That's Slade as a person on a personal level. Yeah. And then other iconic moments, just to say, the school explosion, Buffy kicking ass, Buffy and Faith kicking ass together in Bad Girls, like on and on with that. Those two moments between Jonathan and Angel are so pure, and it pairs well with Buffy and her story and how perspective and selflessness shines through for her. She saves people not just from monsters, but themselves. To say it better, add that little bit of context. All right, our last little couple of sections. Obviously, we want to thank every guest that came on this show. It's a little shout out section for everybody. Your voices and your vibe added so much to our conversations, and it helped make our season 3 run something that we'll always look back on fondly, I think, just because of the episodes that we got to share with these people. Those people being obviously Ian Carlos Crawford. Thank you so much for bringing Slayerfest 98 to Revamped. And Sarah and Leia from Investigating Angel podcast. I loved having Sarah back for our second up, and I know we'll have Leia again one day as well. Spoiler alert, she's down for an Angel episode. Frank Bonacci, our famous Frank, came in for another Xander episode. Tyler Austin, back as our most continued guest on the show so far. We love you, Tyler. Tabby Gibson from Becoming Buffy podcast. And then Chris Birch was sealing out our season 3 journey as our Buffy dude, our dude that does the doodles. The dudes. I do doodle, you do doodle too. I don't know. It's just the dude. He does the dude. Obviously, we'll see them again in the future. Most of them. Like, gotta bring them back. Which is to say, by the way, because listener shout out wise, Chris commented on my story post that I made the other day for submissions to the section that, like, it was a little question box that you was like, leave us a comment if you want us to read it out or whatever. He all commented talking about Buffy dude was great and he should return. I'm like, that's literally you, bro. Like, here he knows he's returning too. So I'm like, you are so crazy. But he also wanted to ask you, Courtney, did season 3 meet your expectations?
Yes, very much so. And then some.
Great.
Yeah.
I have a couple more questions that people technically asked, but they kind of are part of Slayerette predictions. So I'm just going to wrap them up because they were so similar. I did want to say too that like we didn't really get a whole lot of like listener shout outs this season. That's fine. But a lot of people did reach out saying that they were excited for us to cover Angel, like between comments and like private messages and stuff like that. People are excited that we're going to cover the show and really excited for you to see the journey along everything going down for him. So of course, thanks to the followers as well. We would not be a podcast without you guys listening to us. We'd be just talking about Buffy and putting it out there in the world for one person maybe to hear. There's a lot of you, and that's awesome. Thank you for endlessly showing up week after week to hear us talk about Buffy, our lives in between that, and all the random things. To everyone who follows us, obviously, on social media, comments, shares our posts, and supports us in any way. You've helped build this little revamped community right alongside us, and I very much from me to you appreciate you guys more than you know. And also a big welcome, honestly, to the new followers and any future followers coming to this wrap up in the future. I'm so glad you're here and enjoying our podcast.
Yes, obviously. Thank you for being with us for 3 seasons. That's crazy that we're already starting season 4. That feels wild to say. And like Brandon said, thank you for supporting the podcast and engaging with us. I always enjoy reading all the hilarious comments that are left under the React videos. And even though those are diabolical sometimes within themselves. But yeah, and just thank you for creating a space that welcomes a newbie into the Buffyverse. And Brandon, I understand more and more why you love this show and why it's so important to you. And I feel super honored to be here with you as your co-host and as the person that you trusted with this role. And yeah, I know editing is a bitch and there's frustrating parts about it, and we have our technical difficulties and all of that. But I think that it always comes full circle, and it always brings me a lot of joy to be here. And I'm fully invested in the show, I think, as most of every one of our listeners can tell. And yeah, I'm just excited to get to what's next in the journey for Buffy and for starting Angel.
Same. Literally, I'm just gonna say same. I like you too. No,
Ditto.
of course, I'd like obviously have to shout you out as well. I'm just gonna say, you know, thank you for being my co-host. You show up and do this work technically for free, and invest a lot of time and energy into it, and I'm very much, as always, appreciative of it. I think we have a lot of fun. I think it's enhanced our dynamic as it will continue, and it gives us an opportunity to see and like exchange more energy between each other, no matter what way that unfolds. It's not always about Buffy, but I like that one of my favorite shows is now like getting pushed onto you in a weird way, and that you're doing this with me. Like, it's forever going to be an iconic memory for me. So I'm happy that you're the one doing this with me as always. Hopefully that'll keep her showing up for a few more seasons, you guys.
A few.
She's like, I'm not going to be here for season 7.
I'll drop out right at the end.
She's like, I actually die in the middle of season 6.
Why would you put that on me? If that happens, it's on you. That's blood on your hands.
No, it's blood in my mouth like Angel with Buffy.
No.
Just kidding. Knock on wood. All right, final section. Slayerette predictions.
Oh, gosh.
Super easy. There's not many. Before we close the book on season 3, let's look ahead and go through some possibly focused season 3 stuff with some unresolved inquiries, I'll say, is what I want to label these like questions that I asked.
Okay.
Do you think Faith ever wakes up from her coma? And if she does, what do you think happens? Like, where do we meet Faith at? Like, first question, obviously.
Yes, I think she wakes up. I don't think her story ends here. I don't know. It would make no sense for it to end here. So yes, I think she wakes up. And I think she wakes up as a worse version of herself than we were left with, which would be utterly terrifying and problematic. But that's my guess.
All right. Buffy quit the council and is an independent slayer. What do you think this means now that she's entirely watcherless and council free, moving forward on her path?
I think it's a good thing. And I think it's a good thing for both her and Giles. And I think that she gets to choose who she turns to and who she basically assigns herself as her watcher, which is great for her because she will obviously maintain a close father-daughter kind of bond with Giles, I imagine. And I think, as we saw with Wesley, she's not fond of the idea of resorting to anyone else for that position other than Giles, unless it's like literally herself. So I think that their deep bond as Watcher and Slayer isn't something that's going to ever be broken easily. So I think her leaving the council works in the favor of that. And I think that the only issue is maybe with every pro there is a con, and I have a feeling that maybe she'll be a little less like protected in some way because she's not part of the council.
Okay.
And or maybe her needing to adapt to not having rules could be a problem. I don't know. That's just kind of my guess. But yeah, I
gotcha.
think as far as leaving the council, I think it's a great thing. I'm with it. I'm on board and I love it.
I think I like how you flipped or like put that in there yourself naturally, because like a slash to that question I was going to ask after you gave that. I was going to say, what kind of place do you think Giles will have in her life now? Which you kind of like made it a little bit,
Yes.
but at the same time, we got to think that we don't have the dynamic of them being in the school together, because he was a teacher at the school, or like a librarian, whatever, and he had a job there, and it was like call to action for them to be around each other. So now, like, if they interact, they possibly have to go outside of that element. Now it's not gonna be the same, which kind of leads me into another question in a second, but like, I guess first I need to go ahead and do this one. Like, Sunnydale High, the center of the Hellmouth is charred ruins. Do you think that changes anything about the Hellmouth, and do you want to go explore it now that it's a true bando?
Yes, I would love to go explore it. I don't know if it changes anything. I can't imagine that it changes a lot, being that we still have several seasons of Buffy needing to maintain her position as a Slayer.
But still live on Hellmouth. A bando on top of it. Once again, the theme of bandos came up for this.
They're always urbexing. Yeah, so I think that's kind of my take on it.
I gotcha. We're headed to college. What do you think that looks like? Because that is going to be a part of our next scenery, college life.
I'm so used to where we've been for these high school days, so it's hard for me to like imagine what the change of scenery might be. I imagine that in general we're stepping into a more adult like territory, so I imagine there's more of like a mature element to things going on as far as like the scenery and some other changes goes. But I feel like it could also feel like a time of adjusting, for everyone, because of the fact that it is the first year that high school's over. And even though some of them are staying put, they're kind of doing different things, so I think that will be interesting to see play out. Because just like with Giles there, and anyone that we see in life, when you're in high school, you're forced kind of in this group of people because you see them all the time and you have class together, you grew up together. So I'm curious to see how the dynamic shifts within the friend group based on the fact that they're not going to be going to school together every day.
All right, great. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had a follow-up portion to that said, like, obviously with the new setting of the show, do you feel like we're going to have something that's scarier than high school, or just like a different flavor of chaos?
Probably like a different flavor of chaos kind of situation.
Any thoughts of what kind of big bad could pop up this next season?
There is no telling.
For real.
There's really no telling.
I know that's a kind of hard one, but you never know. You might be like, I think it's going to be this, or I think it's going to be that. I feel like every season's been so kind of different than the other, so it's been interesting. Do you think season 4 will feel lighter, darker, or more experimental?
I think more experimental with an undertone of darkness.
Okay. What's one thing that you hope the show lets go of next season?
Well, hopefully no more Angel and Buffy breakups. Let's assume he's really gone now.
What's one thing that you hope maybe the show will lean into harder?
Willow's witchcraft.
All right, great. Angel, the series / season 1. I have just a couple questions for him. I know how to slew for those. Angel left Sunnydale. Where do you think he's headed on his new show, and where it will take place?
I have no idea. Hopefully far away from Sunnydale. Yeah.
I'm done. Okay. What do you think is in store for him on his new series?
I mean, I guess a lot since he's getting his whole own new fucking series. But I think obviously there's like a sense of maybe Angel having his own coming of age story and like his own way of starting a life that is adapted around the facts of Angel that we know as a character. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
We got a lot more chances to see some exploration into who he was, and all the things. So it's cool to breadcrumb you in that way.
Why did I get like a sexual energy coming off of you?
I have no clue. Probably because I just want to have sex with Angel. I don't know.
Okay, you're like, we see him naked a lot, and
Charlie be like, Angel. I'd be like, Angel.
And I'll be like, bye.
Oh, yep. All right, last question. On Angel, the series, do you think we'll see some familiar faces?
It would make sense to see familiar faces, yes.
All right, great. Literally, that's in my next quote to say when I wrote out what I needed to say next. Just about covers everything, honestly, at least for everything that I can say in this moment. I think we're basically good to leave it here, though, and get excited for everything that's to come. All right, well, that's it. Season 3, I hope it's done. Bye. Just kidding. Peace Obviously, let us all know, what you're excited for us to get into next season. You can send me an email or an Instagram message because it is me who gets those messages. Courtney doesn't see that stuff. That being said, also get excited for the future exciting things that we can be talking about. You can follow us on Instagram, revamped_rewatch podcast, on YouTube, revamped or rewatch podcast, I do think is what it's labeled under. If not, all the links are really truly in the About Me section on Instagram and all the others following. It's in also, I think, our show notes as well. I did open up a Discord server for everybody to connect. Courtney is not allowed to join it. But it's something I've noticed that other like podcasts and people like platform wise, like just like Patreon and stuff like that, it's a great place for people to have a community for a podcast or like a platform. So I created that for Revamped. I used to do that for gaming and stuff, and I have great gaming community. So I was like, why not do this with Buffy as well? So you guys join that. You can find, again, that link in most of our description stuff, but especially on Instagram in the link section. But there we can chat all things Buffyverse, without fear of spoilers for Courtney. That'll be a fun place for us to be like, oh, I can't wait for Courtney to see this. You know what I mean? All the things. I would love for you guys to give us a review if you have the time, whether that be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, so that way we can get the show boosted up. We're already like in a high 4 category. That one Xander episode that we covered that nobody liked out of the 5 people that are Xander lovers, they made that points go down. So we would have been 5 stars. What's the whole thing? But regardless, if you're not subscribed, give us a follow, go ahead and follow us. So that way we can get our stuff up. I would like more people to find us, that give us more of an opportunity to engage with others, to really build our community. And for me, as a Buffy fan, to be able to talk more Buffy with more people, especially people that I can't I can talk about it with Courtney, but so much. So there's that. I need you guys. Come through for me. All right, mate, you ready to close the door on this part of the journey?
Yes.
What a ride season 3 has been. From the emotional fallout of Buffy and Faith to the mayor as the big bad, this season gave us iconic slays and slayers, some hilarious moments, and our final year at Sunnydale High.
Thank you for sticking with us through every twist, every monster, and every moment where these characters changed before us. We loved getting into all of it with you.
And things are only going to get bigger from here. When we come back, we're heading into season 4 with Buffy starting college and Angel beginning his own story in a new place. We'll be covering both shows side by side, just like they originally aired.
With new settings, new adventures, new characters, and a lot more episodes for us to break down every week here on Revamped.
We'll have returning guests, new voices joining us, and plenty of conversation as we tackle double the content. There's a lot ahead and we're really excited to dig in.
Until then, take care, revisit your favorite episodes, and get ready for the next part of our journey together.
We all survived the battle thus far, so until we return, everyone stay safe, stay slaying, and as they say, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.